double.
Donovan drives one deep right field. That's an all-star homer. That one shot under the glove at first. Mason around second, on his way to third. Pop's going to wave him home. Burleson's got a double, and the Cardinals have the lead. Swing high, fly ball right. Lyle going back to the wall. Leaping try. He can't get it. Lars Nootbaar with a solo home run extends the lead. Chopper tore short. The flip to second. Close spot in time. And that's your ball game. Cardinals win it 4-2. Couple of homers. Sonny Gray, an excellent start. Brad, as you just pointed out, terrific bullpen work.
Alex, we've talked so much about the offense lately. That audio courtesy of FanDuel Sports Midwest as the Cardinals win 4-2 last night against the Washington Nationals. So much of our conversation lately has been on the lack of offense for the Cardinals. In 4 of their last 5 losses, they've been shut out. So that begs the conversation about your lack of offense. And last night, we finally saw it. Burleson with a double, Scott with a double, Donovan homer, Nootbaar homer. All of these players have something in common. They are all left-handed. And last night you went up against a right-handed pitcher. Alex, so much of their issues lately have been they can't hit lefties, man. They've got a bunch of left-handed hitters that are not very good against left-handed pitchers. You don't have Nolan Arenado at his best right now. You don't have Ivan Herrera playing right now, and that means you lack right-handed options. Instead, you're sending out Garrett Hampson, which is not what you want to do as a team.
Not even an option.
Alex, on the season, the Cardinals as a team have a 740 OPS against right-handed pitching. That's pretty good. It's like top 10 in Major League Baseball. Against lefties, a 660 OPS.
Oh, my gosh.
That's an 80-point swing against right-handed pitchers versus against left-handed pitchers. It is very clear where this team's deficiencies are. I don't know what the fix is. We'll talk later today about some of those options for the Cardinals. But last night, thank God, in Game 1 against the Washington Nationals, we were able to see what this offense is supposed to look like against right-handed pitchers, especially a mediocre one like Jake Irvin.
Well, that was kind of brutal to throw mediocre at him, but okay.
He's got a 4.8 ERA on the season.
Michael's is at a 5.
I was going to say, we actually have 3 of what you're describing.
Okay.
You see what we're describing right now. I mean, like, look, the good news is you're right. When you see a right-handed pitcher, this offense can be lethal for the Cardinals. And seeing guys like Lars Nootbaar get that home run, seeing Brendan Donovan get the home run, these are guys that have been going through it. And it's just good to put some confidence back on their side of things. The problem, though, is that's the right-handed. If I'm any team that's seeing the Cardinals, I'm finding ways to get left-handed pitchers against this team.
Totally.
Don't
look at the starter today.
Yeah, don't look at the starter because you might not even watch if that's the case.
Is he mediocre?
No, he's not mediocre. He's actually the polar opposite of that. But, like, it's their kryptonite. When you got a lefty on the mound, good luck getting through. It's why Ivan Herrera becomes so crucial for them. And the wild part about it is it's not like you're looking at these left-handed hitters like you were looking at Nolan Gorman 3 years ago, to where it's like, yeah, he's not good against lefties now, but he's young. You know, you could get more reps and maybe you get better with this. No, like, Nolan Gorman's not good against lefties. Alec Burleson, not good against lefties. Lars Nootbaar, not good against lefties. So these guys don't have any, like, room to grow against left-handed pitchers. These are left-handed hitters, and they're going to go out there and be great for you against righties and hope you have multiple other options when a lefty takes the mound.
I do think a big part of this as well, and this is not just like against left-handed pitcher, but even some of their struggles recently against righties, where it's like, what is going on with this team? It comes back to Lars Nootbaar and Victor Scott. And yesterday after the game, Ollie Marmol was asked about the offense and what they were able to do, and he specifically referenced those two. Take a listen.
So we're going to need those guys. If you look at when we've gone on good runs, both Newt and Scott kind of set the table and they get on base and they create a little bit of havoc on the bases. So having those guys contributed, it was a big part of it.
Victor Scott, I think, is a really big part of what this team is trying to become. I mean, he has so much of their identity wrapped up into who he is as a player. He's exciting as hell to watch when he's at his best. He's great defensively, and he can contribute in different ways offensively. He can lay down a good bunt. He's a really solid hitter against right-handed pitchers. He struggles against lefties, no doubt, but he had been going through it a little bit lately. And in the month of July, batting 150. In the month of June, he was batting 210. He's got to be a guy that gets on base at a higher clip, because when he does, he provides so much damage, so much of a threat on the base paths. And then we get to Lars Nootbaar, Oh, man, I have been hot and cold on Lars Nootbaar for the most part during his career. I've been more hot than cold. This season, it's kind of gone in the other direction for me. He's run into so many struggles lately where it's not just the lack of an average. I can live with that when you're batting .230, but you're getting on base, 36% of the time because that walk rate is so high. But in May, he got on base 29% of the time. In June, he followed that up with a .295 on base percentage. That can't happen if you're Lars Nootbaar. You can't have lack of slug, lack of average, and a lack of on base. That's just a bad hitter. So now you're starting to see him come out of it. I think he just eyeball test looks better at the plate, looks more comfortable at the plate right now. And that's not just because he hit the home run yesterday. He just looks, in my opinion, more comfortable. If he's starting to come out of this thing, you're starting to see him get back to the version that he was in April. All right, that changes a lot about the complexion of this offense, especially as you hopefully, fingers crossed very soon, get a close to healthy version of Nolan Arenado back into the lineup. It sounds like Ivan Herrera is close to his return. He's expected to go out on a rehab assignment very soon. Getting these two back going a little bit, getting Herrera, getting Arenado, now you hope that you can start to see what this offense was supposed to be. Again.
Yeah,
do you believe in it though? Like, did you feel like yesterday was just a blip?
I felt like yesterday was just one of those blips because I feel like after tonight, when you go up against Mackenzie Gore, we're going to be having the same conversations, and that's just where I think the team is at.
Okay,
I'm to the point now where my opinion's not going to change until we get out of this All-Star break. You come out of the All-Star break, you've been rested, you get Herrera back in, everybody's got those 4 or 5 days off to heal the body up. Then I can go back to looking at the offense. But right now, and I mean, there's an explanation behind all of it. Like, these guys are banged up. These guys do have a lot of nagging injuries. So I understand fatigue hits athletes at some point in the season. We say the same thing in hockey around January. When you fatigue hits, you got to get the break.
Look at the goalies every time.
Look at the goalies. You get out of the break, and if you're still struggling against left-handed pitchers and the right-handed hitters, you're up and you're down, then I think is when I'm going to start looking at this being more concerned. But for right now, I have an explanation as to what's going on.
Yeah, I don't know if I view against right-handed pitching yesterday as a blip, because I think yesterday they looked more like the Cardinals of old. And what I mean by that is your left-handed bats are doing the damage, but also like all the at-bats look competitive, right? You're making Jake Irvin work, especially early on. Pa has had a 10-pitch at bat.
It felt like it was lasting for 10 minutes, so it was long.
Like that's like what I expect from the Cardinals lineup 1 through 9 when they are right. They may not get on base, but they make pitchers work a lot. Even the mediocre ones, as BK would describe Jake Irvin last night.
Accurately.
That's when the Cardinals are back to being themselves. Like, you think about the games in Pittsburgh where they got swept. Sure, they're going to have their struggles against left-handed pitchers, because not just because of injuries, but because they are so left-handed heavy. But even in those games against the Pittsburgh Pirates, like Mitch Keller, really good pitcher, they didn't really look that competitive against Mitch Keller. Paul Skeens, they looked pretty competitive against. They just couldn't come through with the one big hit. I think this wasn't a blip for the Cardinals offense. It looks like some of the left-handed bats are starting to get right again. I agree with you. Nootbaar's at-bats look better. Brendan Donovan, who had kind of gone through a little bit of a lull, looks to be kind of locking back in. Victor Scott looks better against right-handed pitching again. When they go up against lefties, they have no chance. But against right-handed pitchers, this is where they have to take advantage up until the All-Star break.
And if you're looking for the strength of the team right now, it remains in the bullpen. We talked about this before the show today, Alex. Since they sent down the actual problem in the bullpen, which was Ryan Fernandez, then, which took place in late May, they have been a top 5 bullpen in Major League Baseball, just by ERA. By traditional metrics, they're a top 5 bullpen in all of baseball, top 3 in the National League since late May. We're talking about almost 2 months now of baseball that the Cardinals have played, or late April, that the Cardinals have played since then. They've just been really good. You saw it again last night. They locked it down despite, we'll talk about it, what Sonny Gray had to do to get out of the game after 5 innings. You got Steven Matz in there. It didn't look pretty, but he was able to get through the inning. Phil Maton goes out there and does what he does. That guy is unbelievable, and he looks pissed off every time that he takes the mound.
I'd be pissed too. He should be an all-star.
Jojo Romero looks like a different pitcher right now than the guy that we watched in the early portion of the season. He's throwing 94, 95 with regularity. And then Ryan Helsley, you get the tight butt cheeks, and he seemingly can't find the strike zone at times, but he gets you through it as well. Can we do a quick impromptu circle of trust for the Cardinals?
I have the open ready.
Can we go ahead and get that going? We have not done this in a long time. And I think it's time that we give you our updated version of the St. Louis Cardinals bullpen circle of trust.
Who do you trust? Who do you trust? Tell me who do you trust? It's the Cardinals Circle of Trust with BK and Ferrario.
Alex didn't know this was coming.
No, I didn't, but I also
I
It
think
should be
that's
really called the tight butt cheek circle because most of these guys provide that for me.
I've got it down as the last time that we did this was April 9th.
Oh, wow.
You know what? That's bad on us.
So we are.
Well, I'd like to remove someone from the circle of trust because I remember who was in
I
there.
don't even remember who was
Ryan
in there.
Helsley, Kyle Leahy, and Phil Mates.
Yeah, I'd like to
I'd like to remove somebody too. I'd like to remove.
You guys don't like the Ryan Helsley experience?
No, those tight butt cheeks, they're not fun.
That's not who you were talking about.
No, I'm talking about Kyle Leahy. I really get the tight cheeks when he comes.
Ryan Helsley's pretty close, though.
Well, let's start with the obvious. Do you guys still feel like Ryan Helsley is part of your circle of trust right now?
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, sure, but I mean, I don't trust it when he's out there. He's getting the job done, but it is ugly the entire time.
It's the Rosie experience right now, where you know he's going to find a way to get it done. It does not feel great every time, but I do think he's still a part of the circle of trust. Phil Maton,
Absolutely.
I have zero concerns when he walks into the game.
He's the president of the circle of trust. Like that man, every time he steps on the mound, I just can step away from the television because we're getting 3 outs.
And you don't know how it's going to happen.
No.
Like, I should get the tight cheeks sometimes. Like, he has a bases loaded situation that he created. And it's like, all right, well, he's not going to allow these guys to score. I don't know how he's about to strike this dude out, and then there's going to be a ground ball double play, and he's going to get out of the inning unscathed. And it's amazing.
And the wild part about it is, too, like, I know what pitch he's going to throw, and they still can't hit it. I know he's going to throw it, so I know the batter knows, and they still can't touch it.
All right. Those were the two that we already had in. We mentioned Kyle Leahy. Sorry, buddy. You got to go.
Yeah. God, it was what a wild
Alex,
circle.
do you have another Cardinals bullpen circle of trust nominee?
Yeah, I would put JoJo Romero in that. He's one of those guys that, to me, and I know some of this is just they're using them in the right spots going up against the left-handed bats or the splits that favor JoJo Romero. It's a great manager. It's great bullpen usage. But JoJo Romero, to me, when he steps on the mound, I get the same feeling that I have with Phil Maton.
Yeah.
So Romero would be mine.
I agree with that. I mean, you saw last night. I mean, that slider for the last out of that, what was it, 7th or 8th inning? It's
filthy.
Woo, boy, his stuff looks like when they first acquired him. His stuff was very much diminished at the beginning of the year. He had the whole, like, Top Golf experience where he unlocked his hips or something. He looked great ever since then. So, yeah, I think he belongs in the circle of trust.
I need to have that experience. I need to unlock my hips a little bit, too. Yeah, I went to physical therapy for it for a little bit, and they're like, yeah, we got to work on your hip mobility. And I was like, all right,
can we move on from talking about your hips, please?
It's still not working, but we're trying to activate them a little bit more. As
Chubbs once said, it's all in the hips.
He's got a 2.6 ERA. Like, quietly, he has been not just good, but dominant really since late April. He has allowed, is this right? He's allowed 1 earned run since April 27th. Mm-hmm. Is that right?
I believe
that can't be right.
That's what I'm looking at.
I'm looking at since June 1st, and his ERA is .96. So that would equal out.
Man. Look at it. Can you see it?
Maton .75 since June.
I think Ryan
He has
Fernandez just
allowed
brought
1 earned run in his last 19 innings.
I think Ryan Fernandez just brought the vibe down in that bullpen. Now everybody's feeling it.
4.45 ERA. My God. Yeah, okay, we could put JoJo in there. T-Bone, do you have any other circle of trust nominees for today?
Matt
No.
Svensson.
No, I don't have any more. I don't think there's anybody else that I would say belongs in the illustrious circle of trust on BK and Ferrario.
I think it's just those three.
Yeah, I thought about Matt's, but then the more I watched it yesterday, I was like, no.
No.
O'Brien's interesting,
No.
but I don't think he's there yet.
I haven't had enough sample size of O'Brien.
O'Brien since June 1st. 4th best ERA on the team, or excuse me, 3rd best
But
ERA on the team.
he's not being brought into like the high leverage situations where you need him. He's bringing it into like blowouts.
Absolutely.
So
That's
I'm
why
not
he's
putting him
just
there.
on the fringe of being a potential circle of
Usage
trust.
tells you a lot.
Yeah.
Especially with Ollie Marmol, because there are some managers that, man, you got to be good for like 3 years before they'll put you into a high leverage situation, and you've got to be bad for a really long time before they pull you out of a high leverage situation. Mike Schilt, this manager is not that way.
No wonder he hates
If you prove your worth to him, he will use you in high leverage spots. Here are the scores of games that Riley O'Brien has been used in since mid-April or mid-June. 6-1, 8-2, 3-0, 7-0, 5-0, 11-0. That is exactly 0 high leverage situations. There's still some concerns there, and I think it's probably due to the walk rate. 1-0-1-2-1 walks over the course of his last 5 outings.
He's just getting pinched, you know. Tight zone.
I'm still not quite there with him. So we've got 3 pitchers: Ryan Helsley, Phil Maton, JoJo Romero as a part of our Cardinals bullpen.
Remember a few years ago where we had like 6 guys in there, and we were like, we feel great about this.
I mean, they had a
Tyler
great
Webb.
bullpen. Oh, Tyler Webb was a part of the first group. And,
We had a bit of a loosey-goosey attitude when it came to the
No,
Hey,
I
20
think the problem was that we get outvoted 2-1, and most of the
fair,
time somebody just does it.
2021, they had deserved 6 guys in that bullpen. That was a really good bullpen by the playoffs.
Can I read this text real quick before we get to the Sonny Gray situation that we've got to talk about? T-Bone's really mad today. From the 618,
Not just
BK
T-Bone.
defends people who are indefensible. Riley O'Brien, Lars Nootbaar, and Michael Ciani. You cover the Cardinals, but damn sure don't know anything about them. When was the last time we had a conversation about Michael Ciani?
Were you the one I saw with the clip yesterday about Ciani getting
When was the last
opportunities
time
over
we had a
Nootbaar?
conversation with Riley O'Brien before today?
Also, why is he indefensible? He's got really good stuff. He doesn't know where it's going. That's my entire belief on Riley
Ciani's
O'Brien.
not indefensible. He's
My
not even
entire
up here.
I just told you I've been low on Lars Nootbaar lately, by the way. How is that defending the guy?
We also haven't even been talking about Lars Nootbaar because he's been bad for a long time.
Also, Michael Ciani is what he is. He can't hit. He's a really good defender, and he's fast. That's it. There's no more
Sounds like a
conversation
Cardinal
be
to
had.
me. Oh, sorry, he was in defense.
I think you could have a role on this team. It is a very specific role. And it's like, hey, is Garrett Hampson here? Yes. Then, yeah, we could maybe use that roster spot for Michael Ciani. I understand why they haven't. Exactly.
Sorry.
They want the right-handed bat. It's not working well anyways. So I don't know a damn thing about them. It is what it is.
You don't know a damn thing about sports.
I think there are some with the Cardinals that will tell T-Bone he doesn't know a damn thing about pitching when he has an opinion on
Jack
Sonny
back?
Gray coming up next here on 101 ESPN.
I mean, we've talked about it. He's got a real regimen. It's at times could take it out of him, depending on how long the wait. So for him to stay focused and still be able to give us 5, he fought himself for a little bit of that game, but still made pitches when he needed. A couple ground balls got through for runs, but for the most part, man, he competed well and allowed our pen to come in and do their job.
All right. That was Ollie Marmol after the game yesterday, explaining why Sonny Gray left after 5 innings and 70 pitches. Alex, I was watching the broadcast last night, and I heard BT and Chip mention during the 5th inning, hey, it looks like there's somebody warming up in the bullpen. Oh, that's Steven Matz. Okay, that's interesting. And then they watched at the end of that inning, they were getting ready to go to break, and Sonny Gray walked down into the clubhouse. They're like, oh, Sonny Gray's done. And then I'll be damned if in the 6th inning, Steven Matz didn't walk out there to the mound. It's like, oh, okay. 70 pitches is what you get today from Sonny Gray. He looked pretty good, I thought. I thought he had a good start. It was just a short start. I wondered, is this about the lack of rest? Right? We've heard that so much with Sonny Gray and how they want to keep him on the 6-day regimen as opposed to the 5-day regimen. And you're getting 2 starts before the All-Star break. We're all really happy about that. Congratulations.
Yeah, we're really pushing him.
Yeah, let's go Cards.
That's an ace, baby.
You get 2 starts prior to the break.
How many games did he pitch against the Cubs?
Sonny Gray is going to be on the mound twice before the break. You shut your mouth.
I would have liked against the
Just be
division rival.
appreciative.
Division rival would have been nice.
Yesterday, there was also the rain delay. It turns out that was the explanation as to why he wasn't able to go deeper into the game. So before we give our opinions, we heard from Ollie Marmol. Now let's hear from Sonny Gray on why he asked out after the 5th inning of that game.
I just told Ollie after the 5th, I was like, I'm done. I have nothing. I just don't have anything. And then the bullpen did an incredible job of holding it down, and we added one, and that was a good. That was a nice way to start the homestand, but very weird day.
Okay, so he had nothing left. By the way,
nothing.
Yes, what you heard there were kids in the clubhouse after the game.
There's typically a lot of
apparently. Here's Sonny Gray again on how the rain delay impacted his preparation.
Long delay, weird delay. I thought, there was like a 30 to 45 minute stretch there at one point where the game was banged and then it wasn't banged. Just a weird delay, so I'm glad we played. I'm glad we won, and we'll probably be happy that we're not playing a doubleheader tomorrow. But yeah, I just ran out of gas pretty quick.
Just to clarify, the game being banged meant it wasn't going to get played. Okay.
Correct.
Just want to make sure. Everybody's got different lingo. Banged means different for me.
Okay. 314-399-9646 is the Air Comfort Service text line. YouTube chat is available for you at youtube.com/101ESPNSTL. I was frustrated watching this last night, full disclosure. As I was watching it, this is all I can speak to, Alex, is my feelings in the moment. That doesn't make them rational. That doesn't make them right. That just makes them my feelings, and nobody can tell me how to feel.
That was a little Tony.
I was pretty upset that Sonny Gray was leaving the game. I was annoyed by it. Because, man, I understand there's been a delay here, but I think the other pitcher dealt with the delay as well, and he threw 98 pitches, Jake Irvin. And I don't think he dealt with anything after the game. Why was he able to handle this and you were not? It was 2 pitchers that dealt with the exact same situation yesterday, correct, Alex?
Yep.
They were not handed different situations. They were both in a delay that apparently multiple times they thought that the game might not even be played.
Yeah.
Okay, so both pitchers had to deal with that. One of them threw 98 pitches, the other threw 70. One of them was better than the other. I think Sonny Gray was better yesterday than Jake Irvin was. Now, I also can't tell Sonny how he feels. If Sonny felt like he was just done, he was fried mentally and physically, and he had nothing left, and he told Ollie Marmol, I need out of the game. It is Ollie's job to get him out of the game, and it is his job to make Ollie aware that I've got nothing left, and if I keep throwing, I could potentially hurt myself because I am out of gas here. I've got nothing left. As a viewer, that made me annoyed. Because I think of number 1 starters, guys that are in the situation that Sonny's in, and I'm like, you need to give your team more. Lars Nootbaar is going out there right now, and he's banged up. Alec Burleson is going out there right now, giving everything he's got. He's banged up. I have to imagine Pedro Pajes feels like absolute crap right now. That dude gets destroyed behind the plate, every single night. And all he does is go out there and post. I have to imagine Mason Wynn is freaking exhausted right now, having played shortstop seemingly every single day for like 3 months for this team. Brendan Donovan, all that dude does is post every single day. Wilson Contreras has been hit on the hand 100 times. He continues to post. So when I see all of that out there and your number one starter says, guys, just don't have it today. Sorry, I'm tired. I'm exhausted. We had 3 hours where we were just sitting here. I got nothing left. It's frustrating to me as somebody that watches it. That doesn't make it wrong. It doesn't mean that Ollie made the wrong choice last night or that Sonny is not experiencing legit fatigue at the end of the game. It just makes me as a fan, as somebody that sits on my couch while I was drinking a beer last night watching the game at 11 o'clock.
Oh, that's why you were angry.
Makes me annoyed. So that's all I can speak to. Alex, what was your reaction last night as you watched all of that and you consumed it?
I wasn't as angry, but I think it was because I'm numb to it. Like, I expect this out of Sonny now. Sonny's a guy that when he says he's done, he's done.
Totally.
He's a guy that, and look, like you said it best, I can't judge him. He knows his body best. And if he's telling me he has nothing, do I want that guy going back out on the mound if he's telling me he has nothing in the tank still? Because if he goes out there and screws that game up and then afterwards I find out, you know what, I had nothing, but I wanted to push through, I'm thinking, well, you got one of the best bullpens in baseball. Why'd you go back out there? The other factor into this and why I wasn't too upset about it is Sonny Gray is the ace of this team. You're bleeped if you lose him.
100%. It's all worth it. All of this nonsense that they deal with, like, I've got to be on my own schedule. If we have a rain delay, like, I'm not going to go as deep into the game. All of this is 100% worth it, and he's been great for them when he's been on the mound.
He stayed healthy for you. Like, he's pitched 18 games for you. He has stayed healthy from start to finish, and if he's hurt, this team is not playing for a playoff spot right now. Eric Fedde is their number one starter if this guy is hurt, or Matthew Liberatore is their number one starter. So
Eric Fedde's your two, probably.
Yeah, as much as it's frustrating, and I know everybody's probably thinking the same as BK of like, get this, like, what are you doing, man? You're supposed to go out there and post. Who cares if you felt like you had nothing left? I think it's just because I know that this is Sonny. Sonny, when he's done, he's going to exit the game and he's going to leave it in the hands of whoever else is out there. Do I like it? No, I want my guy to pitch like Adam Wainwright, who's going to basically leave his arm on the mound when he's out there. But that's not who Sonny is. So I think I viewed it as, yeah, this checks out. This is Sonny Gray. If this was a playoff game, I would be livid. If you lose that game, I'd be livid.
That was in play. And that's what made me annoyed yesterday is it was a close game when he left.
Yeah.
If this was a game where it was like 8-0, he had done his job, the offense has done its job, you have a full bullpen, all of this stuff.
Sure,
like,
save some bullets.
Yeah, it is what it is, and you feel fresh. You go into Sunday's game where you're pitching the final game of the first half of the season. Like, I think the context does matter here. Context also matters, to Alex's point, that this is who Sonny is. I was not surprised to see this necessarily. Like, I was a bit surprised. I was disappointed by it. But I can't be shocked.
Yeah.
This is how he operates. He does not pitch more than 90 pitches in any game, even if he's fully good to go. So when there's a delay and there's a change in his preparation because he was pushed up a day here and then he's going to be pushed up a day for his next start, all of these different things, like, yeah, it makes all the sense in the world that he did not go as deep yesterday as he normally would be expected to. And also, man, is it super frustrating to watch at times.
I'll go quick here because I know T-Bone needs to...
He's got to vent.
Get this out here. But
if you thought I was annoyed.
It sounds like a super negative word to say, but I mean, they kind of have to baby Sonny Gray. But
Correct.
You have to baby Sonny Gray so he stays healthy for you all season so you can compete. So it sounds negative, but that's just who Sonny Gray is.
The most important thing for this team. Let's do this real quick. Who is the most indispensable player on this team?
I think it's Gray.
We all agree on that.
Yeah. You
cannot lose this guy, and if he's healthy, you have a chance. If he gets hurt, you're bleeped. It's the old Peyton Manning quote, right? I think it was Tom Moore, his offense coordinator at the time, was talking to an author who was covering the team, and he said, hey, why doesn't Jim Sorgi ever get any practice? Like, Sorgi is your backup quarterback. Eventually, he may have to play for you. Why doesn't he ever get reps in practice? And Moore said, well, you see that guy over there? You see 18? If 18 goes down, we're bleeped, and we don't practice bleeped. The Cardinals need Sonny Gray. And if that guy goes down, they're screwed. They have no replacement for him. So you're operating the correct way. Ollie did the right thing last night. Sonny, I suppose, did the right thing for him last night. As a fan, it's annoying. T-Bone, I know you were frustrated.
Yeah, I was very frustrated because when I think of an ace, as you said it, and look, I'm not blaming Ollie Marmol for pulling it. If Greg comes to you and says, I'm out, I'm out. And you have to make that adjustment if you're Ollie Marmol. But, man, if you're the number one on a staff, to me, you've got to go deeper into a ball game, and you can't just say, hey, I'm done after 70 pitches, even though it rained. Because if this is October and you had a rain delay, should I expect Sonny Gray's going to go 5 innings and ask out after 70 pitches? And that's my frustration with this. And I get it. Yes, they have to keep him healthy. He is the most indispensable Cardinal. But, dude, when you're the dog of the pitching staff, I want you to kind of show some bite and push through when you're talking about him, right? He should be a guy that can go out there, and I'm not even saying 100 pitches, but when you're dealing like he was last night, it'd be one thing if you could, like, tell, hey, his stuff wasn't great. Yes, his velo was down. I did notice that, but his stuff still looks very good.
Did not feel good for him.
But watching it, it's like, man, you're dealing right now against the Washington Nationals, and considering that we are clearly running on fumes as a team, I want the guy to go out there and eat as many innings as possible as you're starting 6 games in 6 days going into the break, to that way alleviate some of the pressure put on the bullpen moving forward, especially considering we know what you've got Miles Michaelis going on Thursday, and you potentially, we don't know, but might have Eric Fedde getting his next start. I just find it frustrating. And, guys, that's the 4th time this year he's had a start where he's gone less than 80 pitches and he's given up 2 or fewer earned runs. There's a couple where he's been kind of roughed up, and that one makes sense. And 2 of these, I think, are explanatory. March 27th, April 8th. That's early on in the season. I get maybe how you get to that spot. But the most recent 2, June 21st and now July 8th, I don't know, man. Like, when you're the ace of the staff, I want to see you be able to go out there and pitch maybe 90 pitches, depending on how the stuff looks. Go out there, eat innings, shove against the Washington Nationals. And like Matthew Liberatore, for example, Matthew Liberatore's got kind of the dog mentality in him. I remember when they had a rain delay, I think it was in Pittsburgh.
And that was in-game.
In-game. And he basically was in the bullpen trying to stay ready to go, and he wanted to go back out there after like an hour and a half long rain delay, and the Cardinals had to do well, dude, like, come on, this is great, love the attitude, but you can't go out there after sitting here for an hour and a half. That's the attitude I want from my number one guy, not the 70 pitches, kind of not feeling it anymore. Okay, let's bail. It's time to go.
Yeah, but I mean, he's also 10 years younger than Sonny Gray. Like, we also have to remember that. Like, Sonny's 35 years old.
Verlander's 42 and wouldn't be calling out of a game with 70
and Verlander
pitches.
might be a unicorn. Like, that's the one thing that, and I'm not directing this at you. I've seen a lot of people say, "Oh, what is he just going to leave a game in the playoffs if it's raining?" I can't do that.
The answer might be yes.
Yeah, it might be. But you know what? It might also not be, because playoffs are a different animal than the regular season. I can't judge him on that until I see it happen.
Good for you, man. This is great.
Shut up, man. I don't
like this new you.
I love that.
It's more of a personality thing. Again, like, I'm not acting as if I was like, "Whoa, Sonny Gray, good job. You knew your body." I expected it from him. But I also can't use the argument of, well, they've got other guys that are dogs. Yeah. They're also 10 years, 8 years younger than Sonny Gray. The best thing for an ace isn't to go out there and post 90 pitches and go out there and give you 7 or 8 innings every time. The best thing for an ace is to be there for you every 5th day.
And for some of them, it is. Like for Logan Webb, that's what he does,
sure,
right? For some of these pitchers across Major League Baseball, that's the way they operate. Sonny Gray is not an ace. He's just the Cardinals ace. Sonny Gray is on a true contender, a great number 2 starter.
Correct.
On this team, he's your number 1, and he can match 1-for-1 with some of the other aces across Major League Baseball. But if you're looking for him to become the guy that is your next Adam Wainwright, your next Chris Carpenter, the horse, the guy that has been the traditional ace-level starter, Tarek Skubal, he is not that. He will never be that. And if you expect otherwise, you will forever be disappointed. That is the honest-to-God's truth on where we're at now with Sonny Gray. We know what he is. We know what he is. We know how he's going to approach these kinds of games, and it is what it is. And if it leaves you disappointed, I was annoyed last night. That's as much on us as it is on Sonny Gray, because he has shown his cards. He has made it very clear. He has made he's not trying to hide it. He's like, yeah, I was exhausted. I had nothing left. He was blunt and honest about it. Ollie, blunt and honest about it. Hey, there was a rain delay. We know how his preparation is. He asked out. I took him out. Bada boom, bada bing, you're good to go. And they had the guys available, ready to go. They finished out that game. If they had lost last night, dude, our text line would not look the way that it is right now. I can promise you that.
Yeah.
People would be annoyed to high hell, and it would be understandable. But they won the game. All's well that ends well. You also get another start from Sonny Gray. Hopefully he's fresh going into the All-Star break.
For sure.
314-399-9646 is the Air Comfort Service text line. In 15 minutes, we'll get into questions and answers. But next, Doug Armstrong keeps downplaying the team's expectations for 2025. Why is that? We'll talk about it next here on 101 ESPN.
Tanner Hendrickson here with a Sports Center update drawn by Johnny Londoff Chevrolet and Johnny Londoff Autoplex. Cardinals took down the Washington Nationals yesterday in Game 1 of their 3-game set, 4-2. Tonight, 6:45, first pitch. Andre Palante will get the start for St. Louis. Mackenzie Gore will be on the mound for Washington. The Sports Center update was drawn by Johnny Londoff Chevrolet and Johnny Londoff Autoplex. SEMALondoff.com. Chevy, together we drive. Are you kidding me?
Alongside Alex and T-Bone on BK, so just saw this over on the fourth period, thefourthperiod.com via David Pagnotta. Quote, Jared McCann is a name that is out there that Seattle is, quote, open to moving, end quote.
He came Ferrario strike
By the way,
again.
Out of ball!
Omaha!
We'll talk about the Blues expectations coming up at the 1 o'clock hour.
Return.
Was there a return?
Yeah, there
was.
was.
There was.
Alex, Jared McCann's a name that you've mentioned a number of times. Now, Doug Armstrong said yesterday on NHL Network, for anybody that was watching, our offseason's done.
Oh, okay, Doug.
I think he said the exact same thing this time last year. And if you remember, offer sheets that were put in, like, what, 3 weeks from now?
He also said the same thing in 2019 after they got Bozak and Perron signed, and then O'Reilly was the next day, and then Pat Maroon happened right before training camp.
Yeah, so, like,
you're never done.
Things
I think
can
I
change.
saw a smirk on his face.
They mentioned in this article several teams, including the Blackhawks, Devils, and Toronto Maple Leafs, are looking to add to their top 6 and may pursue McCann in this offseason. Alex, do you think McCann still makes sense for the Blues? Is this a deal in any way that the Blues could potentially try to pull off?
I think they could, but you gotta have to get really creative with this. And I don't know how creative you can get because now you're going to be negotiating with multiple teams. Do you really want Byram still? Are you willing to part with a Kyrou or a Neighbors for Byram and then go acquire Jared McCann from the Seattle Kraken? Because the Kraken, in my opinion, they're probably more futures heavy than they are NHL heavy, where Buffalo, we've heard from Matthew yesterday, where their Buffalo wants NHL guys now. Are you willing to move a 25 guy with grit or a 35 goal scorer like a Jordan Kyrou to go get your defenseman and then go to Seattle and make a futures deal to bring in a guy who is a consistent 30 goal scorer? Because that's the way you make this work. Super creative. I love the idea of Jared McCann, and in this scenario, you don't have to bring him in as a centerman. You bring him in as a winger.
They only have 2 right-handed defensemen. They have $11 million in cap space.
Who's
Seattle.
that? Oh, Seattle? Yeah.
If you wanted to do futures to them, and you could trade a first-round pick, a prospect, plus Justin Falk, and in return, you get Jared McCann, it'd make all the sense in the world to me.
And then you move
it's $5 million. You're basically cash neutral at that point in time.
And then in my world, I think I would move a Kyrou for a McCann. And I know people would say a Neighbors for McCann instead, but I think Neighbors presents
I don't know that you need to do that.
Probably not.
If you're the Blues and they're looking for futures, well, then I'll give you futures.
Well, no, I mean for Buffalo to get Byram. Because if I'm getting McCann, I'm going to also go get Byram. I'm not just going to go get McCann.
That's fair. And in that scenario, like now we could talk about, I think if you get McCann, Neighbors becomes expendable.
Could be. It just depends on what your poison is. Do you want to move the guy that plays more playoff style, or do you want to move the guy that's 35 goal scorer?
I would say Neighbors makes more sense to me. I would also say Kyrou's probably not going to Buffalo. So
you're also very probably spot on with that one. But now you get a 4-team trade and move Kyrou to Montreal.
That's where it gets really difficult. But the reason that I'm bringing this up and why I find it to be so interesting is we know Army is not afraid to make multiple moves that ultimately get to his goal. Like if you acquire Jared McCann and put him on the wing on that third line, and then you trade Jake Neighbors for Bo Byram, and let's say in this scenario, Justin Falk has gone to Seattle, like I mentioned. Cash-wise, you're probably in an okay spot. I'd have to do the exact math on how that would work out, but I think you're pretty similar to like
McCann's
what the LTIR would be. Bringing in Byram plus McCann, removing Justin Falk from the equation. It makes a lot of sense. In that scenario, now your third line is Jared McCann, Nick Bukestad, and
Shen or Pew Suter.
There you go.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a pretty good third line, man.
I've always liked the idea of Jared McCann. He's a left shot. He's a big body. He's really good off of the rush, but he can play big too, and you got the versatility there. Again, probably a pipe dream to see his name out there. I don't think the Blues are going after any more wingers, but if they're still in on this Byram stuff, that's where it gets a little bit more interesting because you got a replacement for a winger if you ship a winger out.
Exactly. That's why I find this to be interesting is because, like, if the ask for Byram is truly, and by the way, I don't know if you saw this yesterday, there was a report that was out there that, hey, the asking price is not going down on Byram. It's only going up by the day.
Okay, Buffalo. We'll see.
If that's true and they are just flat out asking for Jake Neighbors, the one way where I think it would really make sense is if you're able to then replace Neighbors with a guy like McCann, who also brings some versatility in terms of him having the ability to play center. He's not a true center, but he can play the position. So between him, Bukestad, Suter, you'd have 3 guys potentially on the third line in this scenario that can all play center. And then down the road, you might also add Dvorsky into the mix that can play center on that third line.
Yeah.
So again,
it's creative, and I think it makes you – so here's the thing, it also makes you older. And that's where,
he's 28, so he's not too old. He's still in his prime.
Yeah, but if you're shipping out a 23-year-old for a 28-year-old, obviously you're in that spot. But I don't know. Like I said, I saw the name come up, and it's how you can get creative, I guess, if you want to get creative at this time of the year.
Coming up in 15 minutes, the Cardinals sound like they're still at odds over what to do with Fedde's next start. We'll tell you the latest on that coming up in 15 minutes. Questions and answers is next at 314-399-9646. That's the Air Comfort Service text line for questions and answers here in BK and Ferrario.
Alex Ferrario with you to tell you about my friends out at Classic Air Care, whose commitment and the commitment that's been there since 1926 is making their customers feel comfortable. Not just comfortable in their home, but comfortable when you're dealing with an HVAC system. Because, look, it can get stressful. There's a lot of things inside of that you're unsure about. You want to make sure you're not getting talked down to. You want to make sure that they're not trying to upsell you on certain things. It comes down to honesty and trust, and that's where Classic Air Care comes into play. They also have 100 vans out on the road, which I know sounds weird for me to put out there, but what that means is they're going to get you on the schedule sooner rather than later because they have so many technicians that are knowledgeable and have over 30 years of experience. I've been using them since 2016. They have something called the maintenance agreement, which I urge so many people to do because it puts you on the priority list when something happens. Plus, it maintains that unit that you have, whether it's old or new, twice a year, getting it cleaned and fine-tuned for the upcoming season. So call them today. Schedule online. Also, they have financing options to purchase a new HVAC system. They even have a really cool filter program you can get involved with. It's all done over at ClassicAirCare.com. Just do me a favor and tell them Alex Ferrario sent you. Classic Air Care and ClassicAirCare.com.
All right, 314-399-9646 is the Air Comfort Service text line for questions and answers. If you guys have any questions, go ahead and get them in right now on the Air Comfort Service text line. We'll talk about the Fedde situation coming up here in just about 10 minutes. We got a little bit more information on that from Ollie Marmol yesterday. We'll pass that along here in about 10 minutes. From the 618, guys, do you think that the Cardinals seriously go get what they need at the deadline if they're in a playoff spot, such as if they're having success? Do you think that they'll have enough per usual?
No.
Let me ask us. I'm going to try to simplify the question a little bit. If the Cardinals are in a playoff spot at the deadline, do you trust that they'll go get what they need?
No. Because I don't think they're going to be willing to pay the price to get what you need. I think they'll be unwilling to part with future pieces that they deem necessary for their team's future. And so I think they'll take the tier down to where you'll have to squint and be like, okay, I see what they're doing.
Let me ask a follow-up on that real quick. What do you think they need? Like, when we say they won't go get what they need, what does that mean? What are they lacking?
I think they need an impact right-handed bat. Specifically, that can play the outfield. No, they need a pitcher, too.
Okay.
They need an upgraded pitcher over
Starter?
Fedde. Yeah. I'm not as worried about the bullpen. I know T-Bone is. Like, I think you'd be fine in that spot if you go get another top-end starter. But I think it's just as critical to go get a right-handed bat. That's an impact bat.
Yeah, I don't think they're going to do what they need to do, because I think they seem, based on the way they keep talking, now granted they do this when they're winning too, but they seem more focused on building something sustainable and planning more for the future. And if you're talking like that, then Alex is right. You're probably not going to meet the asking price for what I think is their biggest need, which is a starting pitcher. I think the second biggest need is probably a right-handed bat. I don't know if he has to be an impact bat, because you're going to start him against lefties, probably not against righties, and I don't know how much. He lifts more your floor than he does your ceiling. I think the bullpen arm, though I would say is probably more of a need, I would concede to it's probably more of a want than anything else, just because I think the more the merrier when it comes to your bullpen options. But I don't think they're going to do that. I think what they're going to do is they're going to acquire a right-handed bat. They're going to dust off their hands after they trade away Eric Fedde and bring in Michael McGreevy, and they're going to say, okay, here we go. Let's make our playoff run.
How would you feel if they traded for Andrew Heaney as the starter? I don't think they're going to do that. Just
the fact that I have to Google him, no.
He's a 10-year starter.
He just shut out the Cardinals, so you know they're probably thinking, wow.
Lefty.
Yeah.
No. I don't think you need that guy.
No. That's not. I mean, it's an upgrade over Eric Fedde, but it's not really an upgrade over Eric Fedde.
It's definitely an upgrade over Fedde.
Because Fedde has been so bad. I don't know if that's a guy I want starting in a playoff game.
He probably shouldn't.
Yeah. So then that means I'm starting Palante or Michaelis in a playoff game.
I think there might be 5 pitchers traded at the deadline that are what you're talking about then.
And I don't think 5. They're at the point where they should go after that, because it's going to cost too much.
And that's where I'm at as well. I get the question, and like to answer it, do I think that they will add what we all believe they truly need? No. I also don't think they should. I don't think they're in that spot. I think they should look at this and say, all right, we trade Fedde, we bring in Michael McGreevy. If we could go get a guy like an Andrew Heaney and it doesn't cost us much and we're willing to make the move to DFA Miles Michaelis, I think that makes them better. I don't think it really changes much of the complexion of what you look like in the postseason, though. I think that's about what you have right now internally. Is that good enough or not? The answer is probably no, but I think they need to trade for a right-handed bat and then figure out the pitching later. All right, 314-399-9646 is the Air Comfort Service text line for questions and answers from Carrot. Guys, am I the only one who feels like the Blues would be changing too much by trading for Byram? Do you have that concern, Alex, that they're changing up too much of this roster?
I do, especially if you trade Neighbors or Kyrou for him. I think that's just too much change to go out there and heavily upgrade your defense. I think that takes a hit at some point to the chemistry that they built from last year. I think moving Bolduc doesn't disrupt that much, because it's a younger player that hasn't really established himself as a core piece of the team. Jake Neighbors has done that already. So I think moving Jake Neighbors for a guy that you're going to have to pay $9.5 million to, I'd be very concerned that it disrupts a little of what you had from last year.
From JM, guys, what are your biggest concerns for the Missouri Tigers football team this upcoming season? Quarterback. That's my number one concern, and it might be my only real concern.
What about weapons at wide receiver? Do they have stuff?
I feel pretty good about it.
I feel like they've recruited fairly well there.
I feel like they keep finding these like 4 stars, but it just, when you lose a Luther Burden, it just feels like you have a hole.
For anybody that has not been paying attention to Mizzou during the offseason. Totally fair. Kevin Coleman Jr. is a kid from the St. Louis area. He originally, I believe, went to Jackson State with Dion, then went to Mississippi State last year, was a very good player for them. He is now the new slot receiver for Mizzou. He's a really freaking talented kid, man. They think he's going to be very good. Speedy Johnson is back. He's going to be your deep threat.
His name's Speedy Johnson.
Marquise, but he goes by Speedy.
Oh, God, yes.
Joshua Manning, I think, is going to be a really, really, really good player for them. He's back this season, and they've got all of the tight ends from a year ago back as well. So I think the pass catchers are fine. I actually think they have a chance to be great at running back this year. Ahmad Hardy is a guy that a lot of people are very excited about. He's a transfer that came in as well.
I think their offensive line, too, didn't they?
They did. Left tackle's a little bit of a question mark.
Yeah, I heard Stoltz mention he was a little. I think it was Stoltz mentioned he was a little concerned about their trenches going into the season.
I think they should be really good for the most part. There's like one spot that might be not totally sure about that.
Only the blind side.
Defensive line. It could be the best defensive line they've had in years.
Defense in general, I feel like.
If Stoltz said that he was concerned about their defensive line, Stoltz needs to take a look at their defensive line. Their defensive line should be.
Oh, yeah.
No. Their defensive line should be amazing this year. I
just heard
respect
him
the
say
hell
trenches.
out of Stoltz.
I heard him say trenches. He may have just been talking about the O-line.
He definitely was talking about the O-line because Stoltz is a really good football mind. Their defensive line is really, really, really good going into this season.
I'll apologize.
And the linebacking core is amazing. They might have a top 3 defense in the SEC this year. Their defense should be like excellent, better than a year ago.
I think you need to watch the Tone Ranger.
Yeah, I know. I feel
Otherwise,
bad about that
Tonto's going to have to come in and take care of you.
You didn't feel bad about it. You tried to defend it for a moment. Don't act like you felt bad about it.
You went straight at him. You went directly at him on it.
The good news is I'll be doing a show for an hour with Stoltz tomorrow.
If Stoltz thinks that they need to work on their defensive line, he needs to go look at their roster. He needs to do some more research. Tone.
That was pretty bad, huh?
Oh, yeah.
That's worse than when you do. That's what you've done. Worse than what you've done with me and T-Bone. And we hate you most days.
It was right up there with when he looked at me dead in the eyes and went, "You don't seriously believe that."
Or like when he looks at me and says, "You don't watch basketball, then."
Oh, yeah, that one was pretty bad,
That one
too.
wasn't great.
He's not even here to defend himself. It might be number one.
That poor guy. He's driving in right now thinking today's a great day. He's got to see his kids this morning. Got to eat a nice breakfast. Probably got a good lift in because Stoltz is just swole.
Dude,
and then BK.
he's jacked now.
I know. I'm so jealous of him, too.
That entire show is jacked.
The man's
What
got
the hell?
3 children, and he still finds time to go out there and just get swole. Meanwhile, I'm eating Samoas last night on the couch.
Trying to improve my hip mobility.
I'm just trying to survive. That's what I'm trying to do.
I went home and took a nap yesterday.
They're all between 10 and 20 years older than us, Alex, on that show.
What do you
they're all
What do you think the combined body fat percentages of those
low,
4?
low, and
Meanwhile, ours is
combined
probably north of 30.
testosterone levels are much higher than us as well. So like
I just need to get on some testosterone level stuff.
VictoryMensHealth.com.
Cool,
They can
get the
help you out
hookup.
with that. All right, coming up in about 15 minutes or so, we'll get into a game of more likely to happen. You guys give us 2 scenarios. We'll tell you which one is more likely here on BK and Ferrario. But next, the Cardinals sure sound like they're at odds over what to do with Fedde's next start. I thought this was pretty clear. Apparently, it's clear as mud for them, though. We'll talk about it next year on 101 ESPN.
in order for Fedde to be successful moving forward, he's going to have to find a solution to several things that are going on, and continuing to just hit the repeat button, to me at the moment, doesn't make the most sense. So there's a conversation to be had around that, but no decisions have been made at all. But yeah, I think it's pretty obvious that it's not going well. So yeah, as soon as I jump off of this in the next 20 minutes with you guys, I'll get the rest of the staff and group together, and we'll continue to talk about it and come up with the very next steps.
That was Ollie Marmol yesterday. He was on with the Gas House Gang. He does his weekly interviews with them. They're really great stuff. If you're a Cardinals fan, I really do. I don't typically make it my business to recommend other stations and what they do with somebody, but I think the Ollie Marmol interviews are worth your time if you're a Cardinals fan. Alex, he continued on that, and he was asked about, okay, if you didn't go to Eric Fedde in that spot, would you consider something like a bullpen day or using Steven Matz as an opener? Here was his response to that question.
Here's the reality, and I'm trying to figure out how honest to be publicly here. There's a lot of people at the table to make that decision, okay? And at the end of the day, I want to do what's best for that clubhouse and giving us the best shot to move forward and continue to win games. And that's what part of the discussion will be over the next couple of days. So all of those have been thought through and discussed, and at the end of the day, I want to do what's best for that entire clubhouse. So we'll continue to discuss it. Yeah.
He was then asked prior to the game yesterday by the reporters that were assembled at Busch Stadium what the plans are for Saturday. He said, quote, "The Cardinals are still working through conversations for what Eric Fedde's scheduled start will look like on Saturday. He's penciled in for now, but that's not definitive." Alex, on Sunday, I came away from all these post-game comments and really generally speaking from the way that the Cardinals had approached things, thinking, Fedde's not making that start. I don't have that same certainty today. Just from hearing Ollie yesterday, hearing like the way that it feels like this should be pretty easy. McGreevy would be on turn. You just go to McGreevy there. I don't know if this is something where they just don't want to say that publicly because they still have to make the call up, all of these different things. They have to make sure that everybody is on board with all. I don't know, but it feels like that should be pretty simple. Alex, am I overcomplicating this in my own head? Are the Cardinals overcomplicating this? What is your read on the information that's coming out in regards to Saturday's start? Because everything seems to be in place before then. It's Palante, Michaelis, Libby, but after that, it gets a little muddy.
I mean, for me, they're overcomplicating this. I think it's as simple as Michael McGreevy is making that start. Again, Derek Gould, I thought, said after the Fedde start that the time that Fedde's start comes up is when McGreevy is eligible to be recalled. So you'd think that makes the most sense. Part of me wonders if that's just the game. Like, look, you got to have the conversation with Fedde first before you start talking publicly about how he's not going to make the next start. We're going to put McGreevy there. And I wonder if they're still working through the due diligence of this. But, like, internally, it has to be as simple as, guys, McGreevy's making the start. Like, I don't even know what the argument for the other side is. Like, even if the other side, and this is total tinfoil speculation, even if the other side is Mo saying we need him to start because we need the trade value to be up, there's not an argument there. There is no trade value for him right now. And if he starts again, it's going to go even lower. Stop it. Let him take some rest. Put Michael McGreevy in this start. You've adjusted this rotation to where you've moved this up so Sonny Gray can make one more start. So to me, it's as simple as, yeah, McGreevy's making it when Fedde's supposed to. Fedde goes on the IL when that start happens, and then you move on to the All-Star break.
It feels like they're just overcomplicating it. I'm not going to give them credit for, like, trying to fool us by making this by their comments. I just don't. I think they're overcomplicating it, and I just don't think they can get on the same page as an organization as to what to do. Because based on that answer on the opener, the way Ollie said, like, hey, I'm trying to figure out how to be honest, I think that was him saying, hey, I don't want to do an opener. I really don't, but it is on the table, and it's because I don't know if we're going to call up Michael McGreevy, because I don't think they're going to run Fedde back out there. I just do not believe they're going to decide that Eric Fedde's the guy that you can start in this. And I'm not even saying
you can look the clubhouse in the face and say, this is our best chance to win. This is my read on it. This is not what he said. I want to say that explicitly. My read on what he just said there, where we're going to do what's best for the team, I can't imagine they believe that what's best for the team is to send Eric Fedde back out there again. I can't imagine that. Maybe I'm wrong.
Especially for guys that are out there banged up, that are out there performing like everything they can so they can get to the playoffs. You can't throw that guy back out there.
I agree with that. I think that's kind of what he's saying. We can't throw him back out there. And I don't know if that even means they put him on the injured list, right? It could just be, hey, you skip his start. Fortunately, he's here because he can't just make up an injury. You send out a bullpen arm, boom, you call up Michael McGreevy, you get the start. Sure, you're a little shorter, but it's only for 2 days, a day actually, because you can send McGreevy right back down. I just think they're overcomplicating. I think there's, for some reason, and I don't really know what it would be, a reason that they don't want to call it McGreevy. I could see where maybe the front office would be saying, hey, we have to fix Eric Fedde because if we're going to trade him, we need to bump back up his value. But then you've got Ollie saying, well, no, we can't do it because of the clubhouse. No, we don't want to go with Steven Matz as an opener because now we're just burning our bullpen the final 2 days before the All-Star break. I think what this is I think it's just internal. I don't know if I'd call it fighting, just internal discussion of trying to figure out what is best and what is a very, I wouldn't call it complicated, very complicated, but a tough situation for them to figure out with their rotation.
It's really confusing to me. I don't get it. I feel like I'm missing something here. And I don't know what that something is. Obviously, there's got to be more to this story than what we currently know publicly on why this is such a hard discussion to have. Beyond just like, hey, we don't want to like totally throw Eric Fedde into the garbage can, right? Like, if this was if the timing was different, if we're in mid-June instead of early July, right before the All-Star break, I could actually see how this could be a little more complicated. Because then you're like, well, we have Fedde on the roster. We're just going to pretend like that spot on our roster doesn't exist because he's telling us he's fine. We can't put him on the IL unless he agrees to it. Like, he's here. What do? He's not a valuable piece of a bullpen because, I mean, have you watched? He's not.
He's not wrong.
I think that's fair. He's not somebody that we feel comfortable with starting right now, but we have him here. What do we do? That becomes a real difficult discussion to have and a difficult problem to solve unless you're willing to just CFA him and say, get rid of the asset. The timing on this, I would think, just presents all of the answers for you. We need one start in the next 10 days. We'll give that start to Michael McGreevy. We'll play without that spot on our roster for right now. You're playing without Nolan Arenado for basically the last 10 days. So what does it mean to do it with a starter, whatever? I don't know. It's very confusing. I don't get it. This feels like it should be easier than it is. And somebody on the text line said, guys, it's because Ollie's not allowed to make, or excuse me, it's Ollie's problem. It is his decision, not multiple people's decision.
It's not.
Yeah.
I don't even think
That's
Ollie
not
has...
how the inner workings of any organization, much less the Cardinals, works.
Yeah, I don't feel like Ollie has much of a say in this. Like, you can make your play, but I think this comes down to the front office making that decision.
I think his decision is this. He's given the roster, and then it's his call from there on how he deploys that roster, right?
For sure.
If he's given Michael McGreevy, McGreevy will start that game. That would be my assumption, at least. If he's not given the option of starting Michael McGreevy, that's where things do get kind of tough.
Yeah.
Like, if you're in Ollie's spot and Mo tells you we're not calling up Michael McGreevy, I don't know why they would do that. But in this scenario, what do you guys do this weekend?
I would go opener. I think it gives, talking about best chance to win.
That means you can't use Steven Matz in the next 4 days.
I know, but I think you just got to send the kind of the message to the front office of, okay, well, we can't trust Eric Fedde to go out here and at least make this start. I think you have to minimum just say, hey, we're skipping this start. If you're telling me I can't have McGreevy, I'm going an opener. Yeah. It sucks. Like, I mean, it puts you at a disadvantage for the final, really, 5 games up until the All-Star break. Because you're right, now I can't really use Matz for the next couple of days. I'm going to have to burn some bullpen arms in that game and that opener, potentially, going into that final game. That also affects how I manage these upcoming games, and which would make things a little also tougher that Gray only could go 70 pitches, but I digress. But I think the answer is Matz over Eric Fedde right now. And I'm not saying that you do that post-All-Star break. I'm just saying for the here and now, the best chance, if I'm not giving McGreevy, is an opener.
Yeah, you got to get through this weekend. That's all you're making decisions on right now.
Yeah, as a manager, like, my goal is to maintain the compete of a clubhouse. And if I go in and say Fedde's making the next start, you lose the clubhouse. Because they know what this has turned into. And I don't think they hate Fedde, meaning the players, but if he's struggling and your goal is to try and put yourself in the best position to make a playoff spot, you got to go with the best guy that can get you the chance to win.
Boy, does that put a lot of pressure on Sonny Gray on Sunday to go deep into that game.
Oh.
I mean, am I wrong?
He knows his body. He will prepare properly.
If you go to a bullpen game on Saturday and these guys are fried, and you can't use them on Sunday.
You pitch against the Braves, too.
I mean, I think you're putting the manager in a really tough spot. I think I don't say this very often because I try not to be so definitive because I feel like over the last 5 years I've realized how little we know about the inner workings of a team. I think you have to start Michael McGreevy on Saturday. I think you're doing everybody, the manager, the players, hell, even Eric Fedde, a disservice if you don't call up Michael McGreevy for that start. Again, maybe we're not aware of something, like maybe McGreevy's feeling something with his arm. That's not based on any information. No. I'm just trying to understand why you wouldn't, right? His last start was not good. Maybe that's it. Maybe he's just feeling fatigued and needs a week off. I have no clue. But beyond something like that, I can't think of any reason why you wouldn't do it. It's hard for me to understand. So really, especially if they're planning on him being in the rotation after the All-Star break. Because if it was, hey, you only get so many options up and down over the course of the season. We don't want to burn one for this start when we have Fedde available to us. All right, I could kind of understand that. It sure sounds like the plan internally, according to Mo's own words on KMOX on Sunday, is that they plan on McGreevy to be a part of the rotation after the deadline. So I'm lost. I do not understand it. It does not make sense to me. I am very confused by all of the messaging that's coming out on this. Great. And it does feel, this season, I think they've been pretty on point with most of their messaging. This is one of the first times lately where I've been like, what's going on?
Yeah. I think it is the only time I can think of this year. Now that you say that, for the most part, I think they've been fairly good.
I think they missed the boat on the Fernandez stuff. Yeah, I agree. That was early on in the season. Whatever, it is what it is.
The one that I'm assuming you're thinking of the Ollie comment of when
we've got a
hitter goes 0 for 4,
we've got to develop a reliever.
I was thinking of when a hitter goes 0 for 4, we don't talk about it, but when a bullpen arm has one bad game, I also just think he had to say that.
Sure, of course.
I think we know that they probably would like to have sent him down a little sooner, and it was more of a front office perspective than it was a manager's decision.
That could have been it, too. Coming up next, more likely to happen, 314-399-9646 is the Air Comfort Service text line. You give us 2 scenarios. We'll tell you which one's more likely here on BK and Ferrario. 314-399-9646 is the air comfort service text line for more likely to happen. You guys give us a scenario. We will tell you which one is more likely here on 101 ESPN. Alex, more likely to make a trade prior to August 1st that impacts the starting lineup. The Blues or the Cardinals?
So many criterias there. I will say the Blues. I don't think the Cardinals are going to make a move that can impact the starting lineup. I think they will make a move.
That's why I changed.
Yeah.
I had that.
I think they'll make a move, and I think they'll make a move where you'll see him, the player, come up with big moments for the team. But if we're talking one of the two, I think I would see the Blues making a move that impacts their starting lineup.
I agree.
I do.
T-Bone, the mic has to be on first.
You have to press the button. It turns blue when you hit it.
T-Bone's off tomorrow, as is Alex. They're both in vacation mode if you haven't noticed that already.
Totally checked out.
I agree. It would probably be the Blues because I wouldn't count a platoon bat as a guy that impacts your starting lineup, and I think that's what they're going to do. So, yeah, I'd say more likely Blues.
All right, guys, more likely to happen. Jimmy Snuggerud scores 25 goals, or Pius Suter picks up 50 points.
Pius Suter, 50 points.
Over Snuggerud's 25 goals?
I think Pius Suter has a chance to be your second-line center this year. And in the event that he does, dude, if you're playing alongside Jordan Kyrou and Dylan Holloway and you don't get 50-plus points,
you're bad.
It's not ideal.
You're bad.
So, yeah, I think that's more likely. By the way, somebody asked, Starvin Marvin says, is BK just going solo tomorrow? Solo for the 11 o'clock hour, along with Bradford Bruns.
Yeah, so not solo. You got Bradford's as
I believe
co-host.
12 o'clock hour is Jamie Rivers, and 1 o'clock hour is Anthony Stalter. And then on Friday, it's going to be me in the 1 o'clock or 11 o'clock hour again with Bradford Bruns. I think 12 o'clock hour is Mike McKenna, and 1 o'clock hour is Brad Thompson. So we're going to have kind of a BK and Friends edition.
Trying to steal my name of the show, I guess. Here's a more likely to happen. More likely to happen, you sing Believe It or Not with Jamie or Stalter?
Oh.
It'll be in the 1 o'clock hour if we do it, so Stalter.
More likely to happen, Stalter sings or BK does his wings?
Oh, I will definitely do my wings, but I don't know if Stalter is going to be willing to sing. I know
Honestly,
Bradford
I was going to
will.
say my question was more likely to happen. Bradford just does it solo, or you see Stalter sing.
Bradford.
Yeah, I think Stalter's Bradford.
I think Stalter could rock out a good song every once in a while.
Back to your question.
Oh, sorry.
More likely to happen, Pius Suter 50 points or Snuggerud 25 goals. T-Bone?
I would say Snuggerud 25 goals.
That's mine as well.
And
I think there's a chance Suter's playing on the third line more than the second line.
And I'm pretty high on Suter being a 20-goal scorer. But 30 assists when his potential wingers could be maybe neighbors. Like maybe he's not here. And if he's not here, then you're like talking like Texier, Joseph, maybe Bukestad. Okay.
Yep.
It's hard to see me
Not
getting
pretty.
30 assists with that.
Yep.
You know?
It's not pretty. I think Snuggerud's going to be posted up in the one-timer spot on that power play, and I think he's probably going to give you somewhere between 6 and 10 power play goals this season, which is where you get to that 25.
314-399-9646 is the Air Comfort Service text line for more likely to happen. T-Bone, what do you got for us?
Guys, more likely to happen. We see 2 NL Central teams get to the NLCS, or we see none at all.
The latter.
None at all.
Definitely the latter.
What's your path of 2 teams getting to the NLCS?
I think the Cubs are legit, and Milwaukee's arms are unbelievable.
Sure, but Milwaukee always seems like the team that's going to be hard to beat, and then when they get to the playoffs,
Sure.
You're 100% correct. That rotation, that three-man rotation in a 5-game series
Good luck.
is a nightmare.
you're going to have to win 1-0.
Correct.
And they can't score runs in the playoffs. Like, that's
can
been
do
the
it.
biggest thing with the Brewers.
I mean,
When
they
was the
just
last
did
time
it
the
against the Dodgers so far this week.
When was the last time that the Central Division won a series in the playoffs? Was it 2019?
Yeah.
So it's been 6 years, and we're thinking that there's going to be multiple that win
And you think it's the
multiple series
Brewers?
potentially this year. I don't think so.
nah, man.
I'll see. I would lean towards the more likely 2 of them do it than none of them do it, right? Because I think the Cubs are so good. Like, I think they probably are an NLCS
I do
team.
think we're underestimating how good the Cubs are.
I think we're
overall, with
underestimating
this conversation.
how good the Brewers pitching can carry them in October. Because like you're going to see it this week. This is always my biggest takeaway from the All-Star game, and love it, hate it, don't really care. You're going to watch that the best pitchers in baseball are going to shut down the best hitters in baseball. And those guys are trying. This isn't like the NBA All-Star game where it's like, oh, look, dunk contest. No, they're trying, and the best pitchers are going to shut down the best hitters.
I'd make that bet with you today that none get there.
We can do that off of the air. 314-399-9646 is the
on.
Air Comfort Service text line for more likely to happen. If you guys want to come up with something with stakes for the
Ooh,
on-air
stakes.
situation,
I'll take some T-bones.
what's your go-to cut When you go to grab a steak.
Sirloin or New York strip, one of those two.
Okay. I'm a ribeye guy myself.
I'm a ribeye guy.
I'm not a big ribeye guy. I don't like the fatty part of it.
Marbling. You go to the right place.
The fatty part of it, though, a skirt steak or a flank steak, ooh, those are good for some tacos. Those are too fatty, though. If I'm just going eating steak, it's sirloin.
All right, from the 636, guys, more likely to happen. J.J. Weatherholt wins 2026 NL Rookie of the Year, or Jimmy Snuggerud wins 2026 Calder Trophy. That's a fun question.
I'll say Snuggerud Calder Trophy. I mean, Zach Bolduc was in the conversation this year for what he did, and I think Snuggerud's a 25-goal scorer. If you put up 25 goals, the guys that would be in conversation for that are Matthew Schaefer and Michael Misa. Those are the two guys that were just drafted 1 and 2, and they play for the Islanders and the Sharks. So I think Snuggerud could get it.
I think probably Snuggerud as well, in part because he's going to score goals, and that's just something immediately people will be able to draw to. Mm-hmm. And the tough part for a guy like J.J. Weatherholt, I don't know that he's going to post like crazy home run numbers or stolen base numbers or anything like that. It'll just be man, this guy's a really good baseball player. Look at the wins above replacement number. And that doesn't always drive voters for an award like this. So I think it's more likely for Snuggerud.
Yeah, I agree. I think for Snuggerud, it's kind of twofold for me. One, I think he's going to be, he's already written in pen to be in the lineup. And two, you mentioned, we've seen that he's got the shot. It's easy to kind of project what he's going to be. I think the two knocks I would have on Weatherholt in this conversation would be, one, dude, it is such a, look at how much of a struggle it's been for Walker to figure out major league pitching. It is tough to figure out the major leagues. And I also don't know if he's going to be with the team, on opening day. I could see where he's not up till, May or June next year, and that'll also hurt him if there's other rookies that get up first.
Snuggerud's got 5th best odds right now to win it, plus 1,400.
Yeah, that sounds right. Who are the guys in front of him?
Ryan Leonard with Washington.
Hey, you loved him.
You did love him. Zane Parik with Calgary, who I don't even know if he's on that team.
Familiarity with him.
This Russian kid for Carolina that I'm obsessed with, Alexander Nikishin, and then the Russian kid with Montreal, Ivan Demidov.
Okay.
He was probably going to win it.
314-399-9646 is the Air Comfort Service text line for more likely to happen. You guys give us two scenarios. We'll tell you which one's more likely. More likely to make the opening night roster for the Blues, Dvorsky or Carbonneau?
Dvorsky.
We'd all say Dvorsky, right?
Yeah, I'd lean Dvorsky.
Yeah, Dvorsky's already got an uphill battle. Carbonneau's got an even bigger uphill battle.
From the 662, more likely to happen. The Cardinals pick up a big bat or a big arm at the deadline? Big bat.
Big bat.
I agree. I think it's big bat. They seem to think they can improve their rotation / bullpen internally.
More likely to score 25 goals for the Blues this year. This comes from, I don't even know what that is.
Can't
from
say
the 314. Suter or Bukestad scores at least 25 goals next year.
I'd go Suter.
Suter for me.
Bukestad's probably more 4th line than 3rd line. Or more 4th line than 3rd line compared to Suter being more 2nd line than 3rd line.
Yeah, I would lean towards Suter as well.
Coming up in 15 minutes, we're going to dive into the junk drawer. But next, I've got a name that I think makes all the sense in the world for the Cardinals at the trade deadline. T-Bone's in on it. I want to find out if Alex would be on board with this or not. I have not mentioned this name to him just yet. I'll tell you who it is next here on BK and Ferrario.
Tanner Hendrickson here with a Sports Center update driven by Johnny Londoff Chevrolet and Johnny Londoff Autoplex. Cardinals beat the Nationals 4-2 yesterday. Game 2 of their 3-game set against Washington is tonight. 6:45 will be first pitch. Mackenzie Gore will be on the mound for Washington. Andre Palante will get the start for St. Louis. The Sports Center update is driven by Johnny Londoff Chevrolet and Johnny Londoff Autoplex. SeaMalondoff.com. Chevy, together we drive. Are you kidding me?
Alongside Alex and T-Bone on BK. So, Alex, The Athletic put out their initial trade board today. I'm pretty excited about it. This is for baseball's trade deadline. I was going through some of the names, and I was thinking to myself, all right, how many of these players actually fit what the Cardinals need? There are some really intriguing options. Seth Lugo, if the Royals decide to sell, I think is a really intriguing trade candidate for the Cardinals. Wilyer Abreu, I don't think he's going to be traded by the Boston Red Sox, but if they decide to do so, Chaim Bloom certainly has some history with Wilyer Abreu in Boston. I think he's somebody that would make a lot of sense for the Cardinals outfield. We've talked about Merrill Kelly before. Ryan O'Hearn, man, if he played a different position, would make a lot of sense for the Cardinals as a right-handed bat. There's a lot of really intriguing names. I think Sean Murphy's somebody that we should probably kick around as we get closer to the trade deadline as well.
We did that already. They went a different direction. They got a guy who's not a catcher.
Dolis Garcia was one that I looked at, and I was like, right-handed bat, outfielder.
He's just not hitting lefties very well, though, to where it's like, is it worth it?
But he's got all the power in the world. He is really good defensively. He's an interesting name. And then I got to a different name that I kind of stared at for a second, and I thought, that's exactly what the Cardinals need. Exactly what the Cardinals need.
I know what this is going to be, and I'm going to get frustrated with this.
So, Alex, what would you say is the Cardinals' biggest need right now? The biggest need,
right-handed bat, corner outfielder who can be somebody that hits in the middle of your order.
But against lefties especially, right?
Yeah, right-handed bat who specializes against lefties.
Okay. So there is a right-handed bat.
Look, I see T-Bone's stupid face right now. I know what you're going to say.
That plays Gold Glove caliber defense in the outfield. He has played in big markets before. He has been in big moments before. In his career, he has an OPS of 773 against left-handed pitchers. He is a free agent at the end of the season, so it's a rental bat. He's on a $6 million deal, so it's incredibly affordable for the rest of the season. You'd be paying $2 million. His team that he currently plays for is 3 games below 500. They're 4 games out of a playoff spot, and they're 12th in their own league. Right? They're probably not going to be a playoff contender this year. That profile, how do you feel? He's 31 years old, and he's probably going to be available.
Yeah.
That profile, how do you feel about trading for that? Before I tell you the name.
Is he a guy that can hit in the middle of your order? Towards the top 5 of your lineup?
Well,
against a left-handed pitcher, he could actually probably lead off for you.
Do I feel good about this guy with runners in scoring position?
You disagree with that, T-Bone? I think he could lead off for you against left-handed pitchers on this team.
Yes, but I don't think they would do it. But yes.
He could, and you'd be like, that makes sense.
How is he with runners in scoring position?
I'd have to look up the numbers.
It's the most important stat.
For me, it is. For me, it is.
Yeah.
Because I know who it is, I'm going to look it up.
Offhand.
Because I know who it is, I'm going to look it up for you. But go ahead. Keep going. Everything, to get to your point, everything that you're saying matches the profile of what the Cardinals need. Now,
career
again,
255 hitter with a 750 OPS, so a slightly above league average hitter, about 15% above league average with runners in scoring position in his
OPS
career.
this year.
Yeah. Everything about it sounds like the profile. Like I said, I would prefer somebody that I could put in the top 5 of my batting order to make myself look dangerous, but I know that can be a lofty ask.
314-399-9646 is the Air Comfort Service text line. His name is Harrison Bader.
Cue the Michael Scott. No, God, please, no! No!
I'm sorry, man, but Harrison Bader is the perfect trade candidate for the St. Louis Cardinals in 2025. I know that annoys some fans, and they don't want to hear about a former player that, when he was here, was kind of touch and go. Some people really loved him. Others really disliked him. A lot of that was because of this weird photo shoot where he wore the Victory Blue uniform, and people were like, that's the face of your franchise. I don't really understand it. Never did, but whatever.
Still have those uniforms.
Harrison Bader is an elite defender that hits lefties well, can play in any spot in your outfield on any given day, immediately upgrades the offense, understands what it means, the culture of being here in St. Louis. He has a history here, obviously. I think him and the manager got along well. Like, I think he makes a lot of sense. In fact, I think he is the ideal trade candidate for the Cardinals as we get closer to the trade deadline. You know they like bringing guys back that they have a history with because they understand what it means to incorporate that player into their culture, especially mid-season, where you don't have to kind of, with kid gloves, kind of figure out, okay, what makes this guy tick? It happened a little bit last year with Eric Fedde, if we're being honest. They didn't know a whole lot about the guy because he wasn't here previously. They realized this guy's freaking exhausted, and I think it's led to, an up and down situation with Eric Fedde here. Harrison Bader is the Cardinals' ideal trade candidate. Do you agree with that?
I would say no. I understand everything that you're saying. The profile makes sense, but if you're going for an upgrade of what you got right now, I know the numbers say he is an upgrade. I just don't feel like it is an upgrade for the team. I don't.
What do you mean?
I just don't know if acquiring that player says like, yeah, we're making moves to better this team for a chance at the playoffs.
I mean, he absolutely upgrades you. He would be, I think, right now on your team, like the third best hitter against left-handed pitchers.
Yeah.
And he's an elite defender. Like, you're replacing Garrett Hampson on your roster.
What, we are? Oh, I don't know anymore.
If you think that he's going to be gone for Jordan Walker, that's very possible. Okay, you're replacing, I don't know, Jose Fermin for him.
He's still on the active
Anybody is
roster?
an upgrade over these guys that you're saying, though.
Yes.
Like, I could go out
Harrison
there.
Bader is a significant upgrade.
And here's my thing with it. And I don't know. You said you have a name. I haven't heard your name. I don't know anything about your name. I got pre-warned about the Bader thing. I think he makes sense for them because I think if they're bringing in a right-handed bat, it is not going to be a sexy name. No. It is hard to find somebody that they would bring in because like you got to look at probably expiring deals. And there are some guys that just aren't hitting well. A lot of them are former Cardinals, like Tommy Pham, Randall Grichuk fall into this. Austin Slater is another name that will fall into this. He's not a sexy name. And again, they will make this move. And to me, it is more of a floor raiser than it is a, hey, let's raise our ceiling when they make these moves.
I mean, look, the numbers tell you that he's an improvement over the guy that I saw. That, again, it might be lofty expectations, but he wants out and the team's probably willing to trade him is Brian Reynolds from Pittsburgh.
He's not as good as Harrison Bader.
Dude, he against lefties, he isn't consistently for the last 4 years. He's 20 home runs, 85 plus RBI. Like, that's a dude that I could hit, and he's a switch hitter. He hits better against lefties. He's got 7 home runs already against left-handed pitchers, and he's good defensively. Now, he's 30. He's locked up for the next 8 years, but it's $13 million.
I don't know, man. He's hitting 240 against lefties this year.
Again, this year, yes, but consistently, like you always go to the back of the baseball card and you say, what is the guy?
OPS look at by year, 785, 725, 720, 775. Dude, over his career, his OPS against lefties is 773. Harrison Bader's OPS against lefties in his career, 773. They are the exact same player against left-handed pitchers. One is going to be cheaper, and I'm not just talking about money, but the return for Harrison Bader will be significantly less than the return for Brian Reynolds, who is under contract for multiple seasons. He's under contract until 2031. I also, frankly, don't want Brian Reynolds under contract for the St. Louis Cardinals until 2031. I would vastly prefer Harrison Bader over Brian Reynolds as a trade candidate for the 2025 St. Louis Cardinals.
I would go Reynolds because it's certainty, and I know he's here for me, and I know it's a corner outfielder that can hit from both sides of the plate, and he's got pop.
He's been bad, though, offensively this year, man.
I mean, I understand the numbers, but I'll take at the end of the season the 25 home runs and the 30-plus doubles with 80-plus RBI. Like, to me, that's an addition to your offense that already seemingly has a lot of potent pieces to it.
Bad defender. Not a good defender at this point in his career. And this season, we might be starting to see the decline. He's 30 years old. He's under contract for 5 more seasons at a real rate. Like, this is not an insignificant contract that you're bringing in. You're locking yourself into Brian Reynolds being a part of the core group of your organization for the next 5 years, which means he's starting every day. And it also means you're locking up that spot. So, like, now you have Brian Reynolds and probably, I would imagine, we're all in agreement that Victor Scott's your center fielder, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So now you have one more spot in the outfield that you can work with. So if that becomes Brendan Donovan, that means like you're done with Walker. You're done with Nootbaar. If you have anybody else that's coming up in the organization, like they don't really have a spot for the next 2 years, your flexibility is not just limited, it's gone with the outfield. Ivan Herrera, if you wanted to try it in the outfild, you can't do that anymore.
No,
JJ Weatherholtz, if you potentially wanted to do, you can't do it next year because that's when you're tied up with Brian Reynolds still. JJ Weatherholtz, if you wanted to try the outfield, it's over. I don't think a multi-year contract makes sense for the Cardinals, and this is why I would say a one-year deal on a player like Bader. I'm not telling you this just because he's a former Cardinal. I promise you, if he did not have all of the other attributes that he brings to the table, I wouldn't be clamoring for it. I think people get over their skis a little bit on bring home the former Cardinal. No, this is a bring in the best player for the situation that you have. I think Harrison Bader can just platoon center field with Victor Scott. Or if you want him to play in a corner outfield and you say, hey, Luke Newt, you're not hitting against lefties. You're just not working for you this year. Okay, put Harrison Bader in the corner. And now you've improved defensively and offensively over what you were previously getting from Lars Nootbaar. This doesn't make you a World Series contender. I'm not selling you on this being the same kind of move as like if you were to bring in, I don't know, Wilyer Abreu or Alex Bregman. This is not that move. They're not going to make that move, though. I think this, given the bin, the shopping bin that they're going to be at, the $5 Walmart DVDs, I think he is like finding the Big Lebowski in that DVD bin where you're like, oh, damn, I could get the Big Lebowski for $5. All right, sounds good, man.
Sounds like I'd pass.
It's about as good as I could possibly get. Bader makes all the sense in the world for the Cardinals, in my opinion. You still out?
Yeah, I'm out.
I gave you the hard sell and you're still out?
I'm out.
What is it specifically about him that you're I don't think that's a good move for the Cardinals?
It doesn't make sense for me to keep going back to somebody that you've tried in this spot before.
If he wasn't a Cardinal before, and if it was the exact same profile, but he didn't have the history,
then maybe.
Interesting.
Yeah, to me, I've seen
like
this.
Adolis Garcia. Would you rather have Adolis Garcia than Harrison Bader?
After looking at Adolis' numbers against lefties, probably not.
Okay.
Like that's kind of why I was looking like even Eugenio Suarez we brought up. First of all, can't play here because he has no position, but like doesn't hit lefties well. Like I'm looking at somebody that I'm going to be using against lefties, and I know that's Harrison Bader, but I don't know, man. It's just something about bringing back something that you've tried and it didn't work. I wasn't in on Flaherty last year. And I know you guys wanted Flaherty. I wasn't in on Flaherty. I just don't think that makes sense. You bring back somebody that didn't work in the spot to come back and try and fill the same spot. To me, it's just not going to work.
So can I ask a question real quick on that? Did Harrison Bader not work?
I think he got the right value. I think where it didn't work was when they had to hit him in like the 5 spot.
He was a leadoff guy for a while too for him.
Yeah, but to me that wasn't like Bader didn't work. That was hey, the Cardinals didn't work for Bader, right? The Cardinals didn't build the roster around what the perfect role was for players.
Strangely, the roster is now set up for Bader.
Yeah, now it fits them a lot better. I don't have issues bringing back guys that have played here before. Because I think if you believe in the clubhouse thing, I don't necessarily, but if you do, okay, well now you've got the guy that's been here before, culture thing, he's worked with the manager, whatever. My biggest thing is like, guys, I just want to go by what the numbers tell me. The numbers are telling me facts, and the facts tell me Bader hits lefties well. Facts tell me the Cardinals do not hit lefties well. It is a match made in heaven, and especially for like the fact that you're giving up a lottery ticket prospect. He is not going to cost a lot.
It's not going to cost you anything.
Brian Reynolds, like I don't mind the idea.
I don't think Reynolds costs you a lot because I think Pittsburgh wants out of the contract.
I think it's going to cost him a decent prospect. And the other thing is like they're just not going to trade him in division. Like I would be shocked
if they're not trading him. That's the part that I thought was kind of outlandish.
I love the idea of bringing back a former guy in Harrison Bader. I love the idea of Grichuk. He's had his struggles against lefties this year. It's why I've kind of bailed on that idea. I don't mind it. Now, I admit Flaherty was a lot tougher of a sell in the offseason when I tried it. But, man, the guy could pitch. Like, I have no issue with bringing back former St. Louis Cardinals to try and help you.
Somebody said, BK, I do believe that he improves you against lefties, but is it enough? I don't know. I don't think Brian Reynolds is enough. Probably Harrison Bader is not enough. Probably Randall Grichuk would not be enough.
Acuna would be enough.
Yeah. I don't think the Cardinals are realistically going to acquire a right-handed bat that you look at and you say, okay, Cardinals offense is fixed. I don't think that's realistic. I think that's an off-season move. I think the Cardinals need to really filter through this roster and decide who are the guys that we're building around and what does then the lineup need for us to acquire from the outside to make this all work the way that we want it to. I don't think all of that is doable on July 31st. I think what you can do is say, what was our roster on July 30th? How do we make it better for August 1st? And I think Harrison Bader makes you quite a bit better than what you would have been prior to acquiring him. To me, the perfect deadline addition for the St. Louis Cardinals at this year's trade deadline is Harrison Bader. He plays the outfield. He's a right-handed bat. He has a long history, an extended history at this point, of being great against left-handed pitchers, very good against left-handed pitchers, and he fits in with what you need. He's not going to be expensive via the actual dollar figure, and I don't believe that he's going to be expensive via the cost for prospect haul either. I think he's the guy. Alex, you were about to say something?
Probably, but I don't remember.
I'll bring up the other thing too, and it's kind of the ugly part that I think people don't want to hear, but I think it would be true. I think they will be looking for 1-year deals because if it doesn't work in August, they can get out of it too.
Yeah,
right. So they can just put the guy on waivers like they did last year with Pham and Armstrong and say, "Well, we tried. We gave it the old college try. It didn't work out. Now let's save a little bit of cash."
Coming up next, Alex needs your help. He's got to find a name for his new dog, and we'll get some help for him next year on 101 ESPN. Alongside Alex and T-Bone, I'm BK. Time for the junk drawer. Alex, what do you got for us?
My family is insane because we decided to get a puppy.
How old?
Pick it up on Sunday, and it's going to be 8 weeks.
Ooh,
9
boy.
weeks. My dog, so we had 2 dogs. Our oldest one passed away, and then the one that we adopted, he just was not working with our girls. He wasn't getting along with them. It was just dangerous, so he's living with our father-in-law right now. And so we're like, well, the girls keep asking. Smaller dog is what we think is best. I've had Shih Tzus in my family the entire time.
God, I'm sorry.
The one that passed away was a Shorkie. It was a great dog, and so we said, let's go get another one. And so the battle of naming the dog has been taking place in the Ferrario household.
Okay.
Because my 4-year-old has a name she wants. My 3-year-old has a name she wants. My wife has a name she wants. And frankly, I have no real say in it. I just don't like most of the options. So the options here, I'll show you a picture of the dog. So put it up there for the YouTube. What'd you say?
Brower.
Brower? Oh, Troy?
Troy.
No, that's not happening. So my wife likes Ralphie.
Harry.
I'm not naming a dog Harry.
Like Harrison Bader.
No, absolutely
Nobody
not.
called him
I was
Harry.
saying, it wasn't.
Some people did.
No.
I think it was a thing.
I don't even think people called him that. I don't
If
even
he
know
comes
what
back,
people called
that
him.
better not be
That's
a
going to
thing.
be a thing because BK is going to try it. So my
What
wife,
is baseball reference? I bet you it's on
it
there.
wasn't. My wife liked Ralphie, which I was like,
My buddy has a Shorkie named Ralphie.
does he?
Yeah, well, did.
Okay. Well,
R.I.P.
R.I.P. Ralphie. My 4-year-old likes the name Olaf from Frozen.
Sure.
My 3-year-old likes the name Maui
Maui.
from
I like
Moana.
Maui. Yeah.
And then I brought up Rocky.
Rocky's a good one.
So those are the 4 names that
Hold on.
were out there.
Can we bring up your youngest daughter's idea? I like that one.
Maui? You like Maui?
No. The youngest.
Yeah, Olivia, our 9-month or 11-month-old now. Her name option was
I like that one.
and I just want to know how you spell it on the birth certificate.
THPPPPPPP. That's her option with this one. So
Okay, so we got Maui.
Maui, Olaf, Ralphie, Rocky. And I need help because I don't know what to name the puppy.
I like Maui.
Maui at the front. I told
Mau.
No.
Oh, okay.
Mau.
I was kind of in on Maui too, but
You
now
don't
I'm
need
out.
to nickname the dog. The dog's already got a name.
You call him Puce.
Name the Pews.
When you
I
see
might be
Suter, you
saying-
can tell him.
might be-
Okay.
I was gonna say I might be taking the Y part out depending on what the puppy's like at the house. The problem with Maui was I was like, when people see the dog, they're like, oh, did you get it from Hawaii? It's like, no, my daughter likes Moana, and that's what we went
That's
with.
all right. It becomes an instant conversation starter.
Yeah, well, I feel like the dogs are always a
But
conversation starter.
let's think about this too.
A lot of people are saying Snuggie. Big Blues guy, Snuggarood. Call it Snuggie.
Yeah,
it
my
looks
luck.
very
My
cute.
luck. I name it Snuggie, and then tomorrow he's traded for Byram in
Yeah.
Buffalo. I don't mind the Disney theme because like the girls love dogs.
Our
and
dog's
so,
name is Belle because of
And
Beauty
so,
and
like-
the Beast. T-Bone, are you familiar?
But then the other part
I
of
got
that
it.
was I didn't want the girls to feel like, oh, Daddy picked my name over her name, and so it's like
I would go Rocky.
you think Rocky? My wife really likes Ralphie, and I make the wife
Oh
happy.
yeah, then
if she
it's going
likes
to be named Ralphie.
But I
I
kind
mean,
of
we
like,
know how this is going to go.
I didn't
We're
like
going-
Olaf because then
going,
everybody's guy was, oh, you're a frozen person when my daughter's 16 years old, and be like, why did we name the dog Olaf?
You guys also went to Hawaii for your honeymoon? Mm-hmm. Did you go to Maui?
No, we went to Oahu, but a big mistake. We should have went to Maui.
Yeah, well.
Maui was the
Somebody
one
said
that I was.
Roosie.
Roosie, absolutely not.
Shanner.
Shenner. I'm not going to name it after a dog. If I were, it's going to be Benner.
Tom.
Tom. What is with you and nicknames?
Is that your nickname for
nicknames
Stillman?
are awful.
For Robert Thomas.
Your nicknames are
Tomer.
awful.
Some people call him Tom, or I call him Tom.
You should name him after the villain in Toy Story. Zurg.
Zerg. The 573 had a power rankings. Maui, Ralphie, and was number 3.
I know. I think that one's underrated.
Call him Tone. The Tone Ranger.
The Tone Ranger.
That'd be an amazing name.
You need to get a dog and name it the Tone Ranger.
Nah, I just have a dog that's a...
Yeah.
Someone said name it Vito. Just make it Italian.
There you go.
That's not a bad name, actually. I thought about Vito. So I joked with my dad because my dad's name is Ernie, and trying to have a boy. We didn't have a boy, and I go, Dad, I said, I can get the dog named Ernie. And I said, he goes, that's the most disrespectful thing anybody could do. I said, really? And then I said, when I go, have it taken care of when it has to get neutered, then perfect timing.
Ern. My boy
I
Ern.
don't know Ern because it's like an urn.
You call
Sounds like
your
you're making
dad
a
Ern?
sound
No,
effect.
I don't call him Ern.
It's like
I call him Dad. What do you call your dad?
That's a really good point.
What do you call your dad?
Do you call your dad by his first name?
No. Antoine.
I can't think of your dad's name.
It's Tony. He used to. We talked about this.
Here we
Remember,
go.
it was Harold.
I know. I couldn't remember it.
And then he switched to Anthony, and then he went to Antoine, and now he's finally landed on Tony.
Someone said need to name the dog Schwarzshenko.
Oh, please
That's
don't.
what it will be. It will be for now.
We had a few people that said call him BK.
Oh,
You just kick him around the house.
No, I'm going to get a fish and call it BK and then flush it down the toilet.
All right, coming up next. That's animal cruelty. I'll have
just
you
like I'd like
arrested
to.
for that.
No, it's still alive. It's going through water pipes and just into the ocean.
Why do the Brewers
Didn't you see Nemo?
Why do the Brewers keep pulling this off? How come the Cardinals can't do this? We'll talk about it here on BK and Ferrario. All right, a couple things to get to. First of all, just saw this list was tweeted out. 2025's best barbecue cities in America. Number 1, no surprise, Kansas City. Number 2, L.A. Number 3, Houston. Number 4, St. Louis. I think that's respectable.
No, St. Louis is number 1.
Good landing
Trash
spot
Casey out of here.
for STL. Austin, Texas is at 5. Chicago at 6. Memphis at 8. And then the first Carolina spot is not all the way into, not until like the 40s on this. I'm not personally a fan of Carolina barbecue. Do you like Carolina barbecue, Alex?
No, I don't think vinegar should be in barbecue.
Okay. T-Bone?
Yeah, not a fan.
No. I do like pulled pork, though. We also got this text. 314-399-9646 is the Air Comfort Service text line. In reaction to our last segment in which Alex said, I'm adopting a new dog, and I need to have a new name for it. We got this from the 701. You selfish prick, adopt, don't shop. There are so many abandoned and abused dogs that need homes. I hope you can live with yourself knowing another dog will lose its life so you can go out there and buy one. You should use your platform to promote animal adoption, not the puppy mill products you support. I know you won't put this on air because you're a selfish, heartless prick.
Yeah, that individual seems to be very happy today. We are adopting. All of my dogs have been adopted. And I've been working with an animal shelter, Open Door Animal Shelter, which is down in the High Ridge area. I've been working with them for the last 5 years as a volunteer and also donor. So thanks for the kind-hearted text.
Sir, this is a Wendy's. All right, so I wanted to talk about The Miz because...
The Miz?
Mizorowski,
This.
It's some of the most unhittable stuff that I've seen from a young pitcher. Like Paul Skeens was... First of all, he was so incredibly hyped coming in, and then he lived up to every ounce of that hype. So I was like, okay, yeah, this is special. Mizorowski, just to be frank, I didn't know a lot about the guy until he made his debut against the Cardinals, and then you watched him for like an at-bat. Like, whoa, okay, this is a little different. He's like 6'7". He's got arms and legs flying everywhere. He's throwing 100. The movement on his pitches is absurd. I don't know if you saw, Alex, but there was a quote that went around from Kershaw. It was basically like, yeah, I don't know the guy. I've never heard of him. And so yesterday, Mizorowski struck out 12 Dodgers in a win for the Brewers. They're going for the sweep today against L.A. It's a 3-1 win against the Dodgers. And after the game that Kershaw started, he was asked about Mizorowski. Take a listen to future Hall of Famer, one of the best of his era, Clayton Kershaw.
That was super impressive. Yeah, I mean, that was unbelievable. It was really special. I mean, everything, obviously the velo, but he's got 4 pitches, commands the ball. And I mean, I don't know how you hit that, honestly. That's just really tough.
So one of the best to do it is basically saying, oh my God, that guy's unbelievable. How do they keep doing this, Alex?
They go for risks. They're risk takers. They see the swing and miss stuff. They see the elite stuff on one side, and they said, we are going to take a chance on that. But you know what? Bryson Motts is probably going to be as good as Jacob Mizorowski.
Cardinals do like him.
Well, that's good.
Jacob Mizorowski was selected 63rd overall in the 22 MLB draft. For what it's worth, Roman Anthony was selected 79 overall in that draft. The Cardinals picked at 59. Bryson Motts, I hope he is a wonderful pitcher and an even better human being. But boy,
no pressure.
That's tough.
You go upside for that. I mean, that's really what it is. I mean, we talked in the past about the junior college aspect of it to where you're closer to the major league level. But I mean, again, you got a big guy who's got swing and miss stuff. It's not what the Cardinals seem to like to draft. That's just, hey, he can hit the strike zone. He's precise, and we'll work with other aspects of this one, which I didn't realize Mizorowski's from Blue Springs, Missouri. So,
yeah.
That's what I mentioned whenever he made his debut.
Is it? I wasn't listening at the time.
Yeah, it's frustrating. He's from Kansas City.
Cardinals will get
my
there,
hometown in Blue Springs.
Oh, no, why we didn't listen.
Yeah, that's why. Yeah. It's Missouri more than anything. That's all that matters. But yeah, this is.
They did this with Burns.
Yep. They did it with Woodruff. Did it with Freddie
Peralta. Now they're doing it with Mizorowski. This is what the Cardinals, like in the next iteration of the team under Chaim Bloom, the hope is you have this. Because when you can produce your own pitching from within, dude, it changes everything about what that opens up position player-wise. Because the Brewers are doing this with even less payroll than the Cardinals are. Right? They have a smaller market. Traditionally speaking, this year it's different, but traditionally speaking, they have less fan support than the Cardinals do. And if you could take some of what they have done pitching-wise and implement it into your own organization, dude, that's the dream. And they're living it right now, and I am so envious of what they have up there.
Yeah, but you know what? They can't develop hitters. Can't develop superstar hitters.
Well, see, I'm glad you. Well, we can't do that either. But I'm
They've
glad you
developed
brought
a good
that up.
one in Churio, but I think we have overstated how good he is. Jackson Churio is a very good baseball player.
Well,
That's it.
I think when you
I'd take him.
when you can develop a pitching pipeline, odds are you're going to be able to remain competitive
Isn't that what Tampa
throughout it
did?
until you're able to find the bats. It's what Tampa's done, it's what Cleveland's done, and it's what Milwaukee has done. Those three teams are just pitching pipelines.
Yeah.
They just continuously bring up arms. And what happens is maybe they don't have a very good offense. Sure, they probably have a bunch of pieces that are kind of like you look at it and go, oh, boy, I don't know how they're going to score this year. Well, you know what? The opponent's not going to score. And we're going to have ourselves a chance to win most of the games. Now, there are years where it doesn't work out. Cleveland, for example, this year, it's not working out. Their pitching pipeline has not been as good as it has been in years past. Tampa had last year where it wasn't very good. What happened this year? Tampa Bay's figured out what's going on with their pitching. Guess what? They're right in the AL East picture in this.
And so much of Tampa last year was just they were hurt.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, they had like everybody having Tommy John. So now that they've got all their pieces back, it just goes to show you if you can develop pitching, you're going to be able to kind of piece things together with an offense. Pitching is the number one thing that will drive teams towards being able to be in contention. If you've got swing and miss stuff, you're going to be a team that's probably going to be in contention.
I mean, look at their offense. Their offense is not that good.
No.
They play great defense. They're a nightmare on the base paths, and they pitch the hell out of the baseball. But their offense, like Jackson Churio, 750 OPS this year. That's fine. It's nothing to write home about. Bryce Terang, 719 OPS. That's unbelievably mediocre. That's like Lars Nootbaar for most of the season was hovering around that range. Sam Frelick, 750 OPS. He's been a solid hitter, a nice producer for them. Joey Ortiz, terrible. Just terrible offensively, but a really good defender. Collins, 775 OPS. Again, fine. They are consistently producing these guys that are mediocre. Garrett Mitchell, a 580 OPS, 200 hitter, striking out too much. Like, all of these dudes are just like somewhere between bad and slightly above average. They are producing offensively very similar to what the Cardinals have done with a lot of their internal players, and on many of these guys, worse than what the Cardinals have been able to produce with some of their players from their pipeline. But they have been so great at producing pitching that it just doesn't matter. It is able to mask so many of those flaws. So the Cardinals, they've got some strengths. I saw something floating around Twitter yesterday where it was like, how many hitters have you produced? How much WAR have you produced by your position players via the draft since 2012? Cardinals are like top 5 in Major League Baseball. It doesn't feel that way because they haven't produced the star, but they are very good at producing a lot of solid major leaguers, and that produces a lot of wins above replacement over the years. The Brewers, if you were looking at that same thing pitching-wise, boy, they are really good at this, man.
Yeah, and I if you got a pipeline to something to where you just keep churning it out to where you can get something to the top level of Major League Baseball, then you're in great shape. And like the Cardinals, they churn out complementary pieces, which is awesome, but that can't get the job done unless you can develop something at the top.
If you had to rank the teams in the NL Central right now based on their, let's call it 3-year outlook. I think anything above that is kind of hard to do in baseball because so much can change over the course of a 3-year stretch. How would you rank them right now? Cubs, Brewers, Cardinals, Reds, Pirates. That's how they're currently ranked in the NL Central based upon the standings. How would you rank them in terms of you think these teams will be the best over the next 3 years in the NL Central?
For going just the top 3, I think I'd go Cubs, Brewers, Cardinals. And the Cubs thing probably could change if they don't bring back Kyle Tucker, because then I wonder what their team looks like. But they've got money to spend, and they are willing to spend it, which is why I would have them above the Cardinals. And then the Brewers, we just discussed why they're above the Cardinals. They develop something at an elite level.
I think I would lean Cubs 1, and I think it's maybe it'll change when Tucker leaves. I actually think it might not, because I think as much as we talk about Kyle Tucker, I mean, Pete Crow Armstrong looks like a star.
How about Michael Busch?
Michael Busch looks like a star.
Seiya Suzuki.
Suzuki is looking like a star that they have in their lineup.
He's older, but
they've got a lot of really good pieces still outside of Kyle Tucker. And then they've got Imanaga, who's under contract. Steele, who will be coming back from Tommy John surgery. Like, they've still got some decent pitching as well. So I would say Cubs 1. I would put Milwaukee too because of the pitching pipeline. The only reason I don't put them at 1 is because they don't have the offense.
For sure.
So, and I don't think they've got anything really coming, and I don't expect them to make a significant move to upgraded. So I would put them 2, and then I would have Cardinals 3. I think Reds are nipping at their heels, but
Agreed.
I would put the Cardinals at 3.
That's how I would rank it as well. I would rank it the way that the standings currently have it. I think this could change, though, pretty easily this offseason. And it's really up to the Cardinals. I mean, if they change their payroll to get closer to where it was previously, they could easily get up to 2. Hell, they could get up to number 1 in one offseason. Boom, they just overtake the Cubs. But it's up to them on what they want to be and what they're willing to be, maybe is more important, based upon their financial support of the team. And that does not mean like everything that they have that's plaguing them right now can be fixed by spending more money. That's not the case. But if they are willing to continue to invest into the minor league system the way that they have this year, they find out what they have internally, and now they say, all right, we figured things out. We took a 1-year reset. Let's go. Let's start to push again. I think they could get right back to, at a minimum, number 2 in this division and definitely a wild card contender this time next year.
Hard part for the Cardinals is the Reds could also do that too.
Yeah, I just never trust them to actually do it.
I don't, but I could also
It's a
say
fair
I
point,
haven't
though.
trusted the Cardinals to do it for the last however many years. But like the Reds already have the star in Ellie De La Cruz, and they develop pitching better than you do. It comes down to who's willing to play or break when you're playing chicken.
I would say the Central Division in the National League is the division that I have the least amount of confidence in over the next 3 years. Like I think you can have a pretty firm idea of what the West is going to look like. I think you can have a pretty firm idea of what the East is going to look like. You know, Mets and Phillies are going to be really good. I think the Braves will eventually get back into that mix. I don't know what to expect out of the Marlins and the Nationals, but they're clearly a step behind those teams.
Yeah.
Like the Dodgers are going to be very good for the next 3 years. I think the Padres are probably going to be very good for the next 3 years. Maybe the Giants, we'll see. The Diamondbacks are kind of in that same category. We'll see. And the Rockies are going to be bad. Yeah. I have no idea what to expect out of the Central Division. I think it's harder to tier this thing out, and I think it is the one that has the most at stake this offseason. I'm not sure there's any division in baseball that has more at stake this offseason than the NL Central, given the Kyle Tucker situation and given where both the Brewers and the Cardinals are at in their respective life cycles. And the Reds. Throw the Reds into this mix as well. Those 3 teams in the middle have a chance to really push, or they could all take a pretty sizable step back this offseason as well. So, all right, coming up in about 15 minutes or so, we got our first glimpse into what Ryan Helsley's trade value could be based upon what this former Major League Baseball general manager had to say about them. We'll get into that coming up in 15 minutes. But next, Doug Armstrong keeps downplaying some of the expectations for 2025. Are we buying it? We'll talk about that next here on BK and Ferrario.
And Mike, no, every year, every team is his own team. There's a little bit of carryover, but not much. You have to create an identity. But there are expectations that we should stay competitive with the group we were competitive with before. Excited about growth from neighbors. I'm excited to see how Holloway responds and Broberg responds to good years. Hofer's going to have a big opportunity. Really a first-year player in Snuggerud. So it's a young team that's got great, solid veteran leadership that we think we have a chance to stay competitive with those teams. I'm not naive to think that, the clubs of the division is Colorado and Dallas, experienced, time-tested. Our job is to nip at their heels and push them and be as competitive as we can. But I'm excited about our group because I think they're up to the challenge of seeing how it can really be.
All right, Doug, we don't.
All right, so first of all,
I didn't understand anything you just said. It just kept getting cut off, BK.
that was Doug Armstrong on NHL Network. And if you had any issues listening to that, I apologize. I don't know what happened there. That's a user error. That is 100% on me. I'm not deflecting the blame. I'm taking on all of it. NHL Network screwed that up. I don't know what's up with their video player. That's on them.
It's a trash edit job by you, bro. I see what you're doing. You're trying to just make Army's words fit into the identity of what you want to talk about this segment. It's a trash move, man. I had some jalapeno lime pistachios in the break, and now I feel spicy.
So you did that before this segment. T-Bone yesterday,
I made a huge mistake yesterday.
Our Redbird report, he went down to Potbelly. And listen,
I got the
good call. Potbelly's good, but
absolutely.
Hot peppers on there?
No, man.
Dude, they were. Whew.
He looked at me, Alex, and he said, I don't know what kind of peppers they put on there. Normally, jalapenos don't do that to me. I was like, I think it's probably jardinera. I don't know, but I would imagine that's probably the peppers that you put on some kind of a sandwich. He was hurting. He was like,
I could barely talk to BK during the prep, and I'm not going to lie. For pretty much first segment of the Redbird report, I had a tough time focusing on what he was saying because all I could picture was my lips are on fire right now.
Were you licking them the whole time? Because that's going to be a weird
No,
Redbird.
I was just
Is that
like,
why the views are up
to...
so high? T-Bone sitting over here looking at BK going, I don't know. I think the NL Central.
have you seen the thumbnail they use?
Yeah.
I got done dirty.
And it's because the tagline says wide open. I know how Mike Ryder works. The tagline said wide open, and he found that picture. Yeah. How wide open is the gap? And Ryder said, I'm going to use this picture because your mouth is wide open.
How wide is the gap between the Cards and Cubs? And T-Bone is just going like this for anybody on the YouTube audience. And it's right into the microphone. I mean, it's...
I do
the funny
videos.
is like, that was... I don't know what I was talking about because, like, I didn't do that on purpose, right? I didn't make that face.
Yeah, Ryder finds it. I have to, like, do videos now and sift through them to find out what freeze frame he's going to pick because it's just pretty obvious he finds it.
All right, so... if you missed it, by the way, new Redbird report is available for you now. YouTube.com/101ESPN STL. I thought it was a good show.
It sounds a lot like Doug Armstrong there.
No, our video and audio quality is great, actually.
Ours is too, by the way, in the other studio. Over 5,000 views right now on the most recent episode last night of this podcast.
Yeah, relax.
We're at about 400. We're right there. Nipping at your heels.
Yeah.
I
Nipping.
couldn't hear us coming.
Nipping. We did back-to-back episodes, 7,000 views on both of them combined.
We're taking a week off.
We are too, actually. We'll be back next week.
Somebody else on the YouTube chat, iRock said, just like how they use the bald picture of BK on social media as well. Yeah, we've got to get our pictures updated, dude.
That beard that I have in that picture, I was growing it out when Katie was pregnant with our first child. That was 7 months into my wife being pregnant.
It looks like I have placed my hair that I currently have on your beard.
Yeah. I look like a hobo in that picture. And I actually, did it up for that. We need a new picture ASAP. Yeah, Let me get a little bit more facial hair back, though, because this...
Yeah, me too. I want
Yeah. By that time, we're all going to have new jobs.
Well, could be next week on that point.
What'd you do, man?
God only knows. T-Bone, do you think you could grow facial hair?
No, I've tried.
I think that needs to be
Do you shave?
Well, yeah. Yeah.
Do you use an electric or actual razor?
Just an actual razor,
I think that's going to be one of the punishments.
Do you do the
this
whole
year.
thing?
Yeah, because it's a cleaner shave. It looks a lot better.
Well, if you don't grow
There's
hair...
nothing there.
But you can see it. It's like peach fuzz, right?
Somebody zoom in on the YouTube feed right now and see if you can see it.
I shaved this morning. That's not fair.
Did you really?
Yeah.
I think...
Why do you shave?
Because it just looks bad. right? Because it's all, you can see it, like in the light, you'll see it.
So you do have hair.
And it's spotty. Yeah, but like if I tried to grow it out, it won't grow out. It like
Can
stops.
you do me a favor?
No,
This
I'm not doing
winter, it's the winter. The summer's different. You know, I understand it can get, a little
No,
itchy and
it
stuff.
won't work in the winter either.
I'm telling you, what
do you
needs to
mean?
happen is the punishment for one of the football pick'ems that we do, the BK and Ferrario pick'em. One of the punishments needs to be where you don't shave for a full month.
Okay. I mean, that's not hard for me.
Really hard for me. I'm going to look like Robin Williams from Jumanji.
The neck beards would really bother me.
My eyebrows are going to be connected by the time that month's over. Nose hair will be out to here. Ear hair, my ear hair is getting outstanding right now.
T-Bone, have you thought about like the laser hair removal stuff that you can do?
Why are we?
I don't need to
He
spend money
can't
on
grow anything.
Well,
I've seen the upper lip hair when he's told me that he doesn't shave for a week. You don't see anything.
that's why I'm saying, like, if it bothers you, just get the laser hair removal. You're good to go.
It's not a bother. It's annoying, but it's not a bother.
So
It's not enough to spend money to do it, right?
T-Bone, you mentioned that.
I'd like to know T-Bone when he rolls over in the morning. He's like, "Oh damn, I gotta shave today." Do you just dab on some shaving cream?
I would like to know what goes into that decision.
It's basically every other day. That's just what it is. That's the decision.
cannot shave every other day.
There's no way.
Yes, there is.
You are doing that on purpose.
I
then.
don't shave every other day. I shave like every 5 to 7.
I think I shave like every week.
Yeah, like
No.
once a week-ish.
T-Bone, I grow
Are
facial
you
hair
being
like
serious?
Yeah, I do it every other day, essentially.
that is wild. Dude.
Why?
How much
Because
do
I
you spend
see-
on razors?
Not too much, actually.
Are you using dull razors?
Well, you don't have to. You don't have to shave very often. There's not a whole lot there. It's
T-Bone,
not
you
too
should
bad.
get an electric, man.
What do you
No,
mean?
no.
I don't have to shave every.
We
You
were
shave every
supposed
other
to talk
day.
about Doug Armstrong's expectations or lack thereof.
You can't be serious.
Lack thereof, the facial hair that you shave.
I'm sorry, I just used the same phrasing that I did for Alex when I really
Again.
got. You really shave every other day?
Yes.
Somebody
It's why I look so young and clean
Somebody
every
just
time.
said, I feel like I've gained so much insight on how Doug feels about the expectations for the Blues.
Oh yeah, he's been downplaying it a little bit, but I think it's all kind of like
T-Bone's downplaying how much he shaves.
I heard the quote from Army, and my thought was, yeah, that's pretty much what he told us a month ago. And T-Bone heard it, and he was like, yeah, guys, we need to talk about this.
I think he heard it while he was shaving, and he probably cut himself.
Hold on. What happened was in the office, we were like, hey, do we have anything to talk about the Blues? And everybody's like, no. And I was like, well, I heard Army say something, and it feels like he keeps downplaying expectations. I don't know if there's something there, because like that's the segment. Boom, put it in the rundown.
What's worse? We
got a good segment
The
out of it.
fewest time that I change my sheets or T-Bone shaving every other day.
Dude, you changing your sheets like every other day.
No, it's every... What did I say? It was every...
Like 2 or 3 days?
Yeah, it's like 2 to 3 days. Probably more on the 3 days side.
That's crazy.
Not shaving every other day is crazy with that face.
Correct. Now, I have a lot of...
That felt mean. That wasn't that face. It's a good-looking face. It's just you don't need to shave every day.
We had a Redbird report yesterday. I had to look clean.
That's fair. I get it.
Somebody sent me a picture that was T-Bone looks like this guy, and I got to go back to find it on my Twitter feed right now.
On your Twitter? Oh.
I saw it.
Oh, did they send it to all of us?
No, I think it's just a reply to one of BK's tweets.
Yeah, it was really good.
I don't like people making fun of me. You know?
I'm not making fun. I just don't know why you're shaving so much.
The Twitter peeps are going to make me really get into working out, you know?
YouTube went up like 30 viewers just us talking about this, so...
What do you,
So I've never seen Ace Ventura, but Roger from Ace
yeah.
Ventura, somebody said, T-Bone looks just like this guy, and I can't avoid it any longer. And I got to tell you, when I saw the picture, I was like, it's a spitting image. It looks like T-Bone in 20 years.
I gotta pull it up.
Oh, it's so good. Look it up and tell me that that's not exactly T-Bone, the guy that plays the Dolphins coach.
I agree with the 314. Men shave every day. Yeah.
I don't shave every day.
Not a man.
All right, so do you guys think that Doug Armstrong is downplaying the...
No, I think he probably is playing right where I thought it was going to be.
T-Bone?
I find it weird he's not telling me where they're going to finish this year. You know?
He said not in the top 2 in the division, somewhere between 6 and 10.
Competitive with
My team
other
follows,
teams.
he's not done yet.
well, that's a...
Because he's definitely never hesitated to give me an expectation before. But last year when he's like, we're a playoff team, I went, what the hell? He was right, but...
Coming up next, we got our first glimpse into what Ryan Helsley's trade value will be based on this former Major League Baseball general manager's opinion. We'll talk about it next year on BK and Ferrario.
Tanner Henderson here with a Sports Center update brought to you by Saliga Heating and Cooling. Cardinals took down the Washington Nationals yesterday. Game 2 of their 3-game set against Washington is tonight. 6:45 will be first pitch. Mackenzie Gore will be on the mound for Washington. Andre Palante will get the start for St. Louis. The Sports Center update is brought to you by Saliga Heating and Cooling, a Daikin heating and air conditioning dealer.
Alongside Alex and T-Bone on BK, so Jim Bowden is a former Major League Baseball general manager, and earlier today he was over on The Athletic, and he put together a big piece on what he expects at this year's trade deadline, as we are now just about 3 weeks away from the deadline. It's going to be here quicker than otherwise you would probably expect. So, Alex, he was asked about Ryan Helsley specifically, and what the Cardinals could potentially get for a guy like Helsley. And he effectively said, I think they could get like 2 of a team's top 10 prospects in their system. And he mentioned, I think it was the Phillies that would potentially give up like their number 6 and number 10 overall prospects in their system to be able to acquire Ryan Helsley. I bring this up, Alex, because it's our first glimpse into what the asking price could be for a pitcher like Ryan Helsley. I don't think the Cardinals are trading him. I think if things are as they are right now, they're probably going to be buyers, not sellers. But this was always my brushback against the idea of trading him in the offseason and then again potentially at the deadline. We say it as if like you're going to get this overwhelming haul for Helsley. And maybe you get the next Cole Reagans, who, by the way, can't stay healthy for the Royals, and he was only available because he had I think, 2 Tommy John surgeries prior to being traded to Kansas City. But maybe you get that. Or maybe you get what most of the returns are for relievers, which is a bunch of lottery tickets that hopefully they work out down the road. The return that he specifically mentioned, Alex, was like a 19-year-old outfielder who was a second-round pick last year, probably 3 or 4 years away from the big leagues. And then another, I think, 20-year-old infielder that's kind of light hitting. He's okay, like a middle-of-the-organization type of a prospect. Is that enough for you to be like, yeah, I'll just go ahead and give up on the idea of Ryan Helsley being on the team the rest of the year for this kind of a return?
No, in that sense, I'm going to keep Helsley. And I've kind of flip-flopped on this, but like I've remained steadfast on like if the meat is worth the trade, then I'll do it. And 2 top 10, meaning 6 and 10, that's not enough for me to get it done. I need something that's a year or 2 away from the major leagues for me to trade away Ryan Helsley. And it's probably a tall task to ask. And if that's the case, then you know what? I'm just going to go for the playoffs with him then. I just don't think it makes sense to go get a light-hitting infielder who's 20 years old and an outfielder who's probably 4 years away from helping this team if he helps this team. To me, that's not worth trading away the guy that could help you get a playoff spot this season. And that's where you have to weigh okay, does the playoff experience for your young nucleus, even if you don't keep Ryan Helsley, worth it versus 2 guys who aren't even going to sniff Major League Baseball for 4 years? In that sense, I'm going Ryan Helsley every day.
We have this from the 618. BK, what do you not understand? A Deline qualifying offer comp pick is not better or closer than the big league prospects that could be available right now. Maton has been better than Helsley anyways. He is your closer. I mean, the declined comp pick would basically be the equivalent to the player that you're getting in this trade, though. He was a second-round pick in last year's draft, so almost exactly 1 year ago. Now, it's 2 years difference in the timeline, sure, but the quality of those prospects, it's a second-round pick versus a second-round pick. It's different timelines, but it's still a second-round pick. So you're effectively adding this one other player to the mix instead of what you would get in return for Ryan Helsley, for him just walking in free agency. To me, that's not enough. If I'm valuing that player versus the ability to compete down the stretch, I just value competing down the stretch as being more worthwhile.
Yeah.
The Cardinals are not in a spot where they need a bunch of other prospects necessarily. They're kind of like the Blues in that they've got an idea of what they have internally. Now, if you could get a really great pitching prospect in return for Helsley, you could make this tough on Mo. I think there are other teams that could do that. The Phillies are one of those teams. They've got some pitching prospects that would be of interest to me. This is just not the kind of package that would.
Especially an infielder. I don't need another infield prospect in my pipeline. You can give me an outfielder who's got a bat, and you can give me a pitcher who's got a starting pitcher potential. Like, that's what I'm looking for. But I got to get something that's closer to the major leagues than If it's the same timeline to maybe make an impact at the major league level as a draft pick for that comp, I'm just going to keep Ryan Helsley. And I know it's a 2-year difference, but like to me, even if it's a 2-year difference, you're still talking the same time frame.
Yeah, and well, for being honest, like we might think that you could draft a kid that ends up being ready a lot faster, right? He could even actually beat the first guy.
Mizorowski was in the second round, and look at this kid.
If I'm not mistaken, I think you can also trade the comp pick.
Yeah.
If I remember correctly.
That's right.
I'm pretty sure you're allowed to trade those comp picks now.
Let's
so
move up into the top, further up in the first round.
Not in the draft. You can trade it for a player. So you could then flip that for a prospect that might even be better than the prospects that you're getting in this return.
Yeah, I think because of where the Cardinals are at, like I would lean towards you're keeping Helsley. I'm not completely taking him off of the board.
Sure.
But I agree. I think it's got to be like, man, you get the Godfather offer. And when I say that, like that doesn't mean you're getting like 4 incredible prospects.
No.
It's
Give me
like,
one top 3 guy from your organization.
We think that guy that you're offering up could be like our version of Cole Reagans. Like that is what it has to be for you to even like consider. And I'm not even sure they pull the trigger on that. But I think he's not off the board. He's still out there. Yeah. But again, it has to be just the best offer that is possible. And you think, okay, you know what? This is better for us for the next 3 to 5 years compared to just taking a potential lottery ticket on a comp pick.
And that's why I walk this up to the final hour. Like, even if I'm in a playoff spot, I'm going to see what teams call for. Because how desperate does a team that wants to win the World Series get? Because if you get real desperate, I might have to make that decision no matter what.
Yeah, 314-399-9646 is the Air Comfort Service text line. In this scenario, I think you're looking at quality, not quantity.
Yeah.
You want the Cole Reagans. You want the number 1, number 2, number 3 prospect in an organization more than you would want like 6 and 10. Mm-hmm. Right? You're not getting outs here. You're saying we've got to get somebody that we think can really contribute to the major league level within the next couple of years,
right,
and will be a big factor in us becoming a contender again in the National League. Somebody from the 618, the guy responded and said, hey, guys, it's rare that a comp pick will be in the big leagues quicker than the prospects that are already in professional baseball. I'm not suggesting that the timeline would be quicker for the Cardinals. I'm suggesting the quality of those players will be similar, right? The timelines are different, but if one guy is like a B-level prospect that's expected to get to the big leagues next year, and the other guy is a B-level prospect that is expected to get to the big leagues in a couple of seasons, the Cardinals right now aren't hurting for prospects that need to be at the big league level right now. They're hurting for quality at the major league level. They need the A-level prospect. Whether that be here next year or in 5 years, they need the A-level prospects. That's J.J. Weatherholds. That's hopefully what you're getting in this year's draft at number 5 overall, where you could take a high schooler that's probably going to be here in like 5 years, but could be a star. That's what the Cardinals are lacking right now, and if they're going to trade Helsley, that's what they should be striving for. I don't know how likely it is that they're going to be able to actually acquire it, and that's where things get tougher. With Alex and T-Bone on BK, we'll hit the rewind next year on 101 ESPN. Hey, if you missed anything from today's show, be sure to check it out on the podcast page, 101ESPN.com. The free 101 ESPN app is where you go to find it. The show's podcast is sponsored by
Schaefer Door Company.
You can also check it out on the 101 ESPN app. That is sponsored by Dobbs Tire and Auto Centers. You can check us out on YouTube always at youtube.com/101ESPN STL. You can always see over there the Redbird Report in the Last Minute Blues podcast. Our show is well represented on the podcast over there on the YouTube channel. We have a new Redbird Report that was released last night, is ready to go for you over there right now if you'd like to check that out.
Hot off the presses.
Right now is your chance to score a pair of 4-day passes for Major League Pickleball's sponsored event by Stella Artois. It's coming up next Thursday through Sunday at Chaffetz Arena. It is hosted by the hometown St. Louis Shock, and the event will be the largest indoor pro pickleball event ever. 101 ESPN listeners can also get a special discount by using the promo code WXOS. That is WXOS. Or right now, 314-399-9646 is the Air Comfort Service text line. If you are texter number 101 and you have the correct answer to the following question, you're getting that 4-day passes, pair of them, to see this pickleball event. Earlier today, Alex said he needed some help from the audience. What did he need help with? He needed help with one specific thing. What was it? If you have the correct answer to your texter number 101, you can go home with that pair of 4-day passes to the pickleball event next week. All right, Alex, to finish out the show today, Cardinals back in action this evening. They were going up against a left-handed pitcher.
Oh, wow, 1-0 final score.
McKenzie Gore is on the mound. Last time the Cardinals saw him, they actually did okay. He went 6 2/3 innings, so he got deeper into the game, but they scored 4 runs against him, hit a couple of homers against them, and ultimately won the game 6-1.
Also had Herrera and Arenado in the lineup.
I was going to leave that part out.
Oh, okay. Sorry. Forget I said that.
Arenado is anticipated to be back in the lineup today. In that game, Arenado hit a home run against him, and Nupar also hit a home run against McKenzie Gore. Arenado also hit a double. It was a very good game by Nolan Arenado, so fingers crossed he can get out there today. Alex, what are you anticipating tonight between the Cards and the Nationals with Palante versus McKenzie Gore?
I'm anticipating struggles. I think when you don't have, even if Arenado is back, to me, he's not 100%. When you don't have those right-handed bats against the lefties, your lineup looks a lot more vulnerable. I'm hoping that confidence came from that game last night for guys like Lars Nootbaar, guys like Brendan Donovan, that what they did there can at least put them on a little bit more of a successful at-bat to where they're recognizing pitches a little bit more. But I'm expecting a low-scoring one. I'm expecting the Cardinals offense to struggle. 3-1 Washington.
Yeah, I don't think it's going to be pretty tonight. Arenado, even if back, I agree, probably not 100%, but close to. Good sign that he would be back in the lineup. They just are too left-handed heavy. And now that you're missing your guy in Ivan Herrera that can be in the middle of that order still, I think McKenzie Gore is going to shove tonight. And part of that is like, dude, it's McKenzie Gore. That guy is a stud. But
he's heating up even more.
Yeah, it's going to be a tough outing for the Cardinals. I'm just glad I don't have to talk about the outcome tomorrow.
Me neither, man.
I think the Cardinals are going to win this game.
Do you?
You've got Andre Palante on the mound. Their 2 best hitters, and really their only 2 good hitters on Washington, are lefties. That's typically where he has a success, speaking of Andre Palante. The Cardinals had a little bit of success with Nolan Arenado against McKenzie Gore last time around. I think you can get a couple off of him. You put 1 up on their bullpen, 2 up on their bullpen. You win this one 4-2. You leave feeling pretty good about it. So I think the Cardinals will win tonight. I think it'll be a relatively speaking low-scoring game. Hopefully your bullpen is able to get through things as well, because I don't think you're going to expect a super long game tonight out of Andre Palante. But if he can get you a couple times through the order, holds down their left-handed hitters, you feel good about the outing for him.
I can't wait to hear you break it all down tomorrow from 11 to 2.
I'm looking forward to it. I know you won't be listening.
Be in the car listening to Brandon, Kylie, and Bradford
Bruns at 11 o'clock tomorrow.
One hit, Bradford, please grab that cut right there.
We will also have an hour with Anthony Stalter tomorrow. We will have an hour with Jamie Rivers tomorrow. And on Friday, I'll be joined by the great Mike McKenna. Macadoodle Mike will be in with me for an hour. And I will also be joined by Brad Thompson for an hour as well. These 2 schmucks are going to be off the next couple of days. Some well-deserved vacation for both of them. Alex is going to an undisclosed location in Michigan. T-Bone is going to an undisclosed location in Illinois. I will be right here because I do my job every day from 11 to 2 p.m. right here on BK and Ferrario.
Shut up.
We'll miss them. We'll see them next week. I will see you guys tomorrow at youtube.com/101ESPN STL. We'll see you then. The Fast Lane's next year on 101 ESPN.